Put your
Hey,
baby.
yeah, bunch of babies. That's what they are. Hello,
Baby's
everybody.
on time.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
I was napping on the couch.
Baby needs a snap.
Yeah, I did. It was nice. I fell asleep watching a riveting show called The Good Cop, starring Tony Danza.
The impeachment of Donald Trump.
No,
Oh.
it's I think it's made by the same people that did Monk. You know that show with Tony
Yeah.
Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's basically it's an Odd Fellows group. Tony Danza, and I don't know who plays his son, but he's a cop that was corrupt and he went to jail for it, and then now he's out of prison and he lives with his son, who is like the station's top detective type of thing. So it's just I don't know. I watched like the first 2 episodes and it was like a nice little nap. It was like, oh yeah, we'll just
It's right to sleep.
Yeah, right, exactly. It just
intriguing.
kind of like Monk. You know, everybody always talked about how Tony Shalhoub Monk was like fantastic, and it wasn't bad. It was really. It always felt it was like really slowly paced for me. And it was just kind of like it just took its time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but this one definitely takes its time.
Are you
I guess.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
It's like one of my things I want to watch.
Tony Shalhoub is pretty good on that show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much of him, but the little there is great.
Is he the marvelous Miss Maisel?
He's the marvelous Ms. Maisel's father.
1 second here. Come here.
Whatever you want. 5 episodes of that show.
Then fine. They won't see you. Come here.
We can see you.
No, she can't hear you either. I love you. She used to be in my videos all the time, and now she's camera shy. So that's okay.
Kids, like, I'm just curious, like, does she
get older? Yes, they get older.
No, Lance. Do they get any grief from kids in high school? Like,
what do you mean?
They're on YouTube as kids, as children.
I don't know.
Is she in high school yet?
She's 12.
Oh.
Be 13 in summer.
Like, do you think her friends in high school know that she's on YouTube?
As
a young,
I mean,
like I feel like that's sort of an embarrassment factor in my like.
It's like the one where the video about the with the I can't think, where I did the Benny Hill music and we were running around pretending we're destroying the game.
Yeah.
Like she's shown that to her friends, so they think that's funny. I mean, I don't know. Nobody's like, I don't think anybody's ever given her.
So I once got threatened to get my ass kicked because I showed a yearbook from when I was in 2nd grade. In 8th grade, and I had all the people who I went to school with back in 2nd grade were in there, and I showed all the pictures, and I literally got threatened to get my ass kicked.
Like, how old? When was this?
I was showing the pictures. What?
Like recently?
No, when I was in 8th grade, I had the yearbook. Like I went to 2nd grade with all these people I didn't know. Gotcha. And then I looked at the yearbook from 2nd grade and I brought it to school in 8th grade. And I'm like, we went to school in 2nd grade. Right. And I showed off the pictures to people. And then one of the guys who I didn't know, he's like, you made me out after school. I'm going to kick your ass for showing that. I'm like, why? Like, I'm going to get my ass kicked or fought. I mean, he chased me down.
Was he like on the bedwetters page or something? Or what?
Bully. But when everybody looked like in 2nd grade, everybody looks like, cute little kid. I guess he didn't want to look that cute because he was a tough guy.
Yeah, she's never mentioned. I mean, I said a few times that like as she got older, I started getting a few comments that I didn't appreciate, and I realized it was just like whatever. and as she got older, she stopped asking to do them.
Right.
You know, like, and so it was just like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I've definitely like considered. I mean, because nothing personal. When that's the game that we did the Benny Hill music, and like I remember I got so nothing personal. It went back to like just I can't think of the designer's name right now. It was just him, like Tom Bassel, like I don't know what
Steve
happened.
Avery?
Steve Avery, yeah. So Steve Avery like did a reprint of it, like of it through just Starling Games or whatever. The Dan Yarrington's new company. And so they changed it a little bit, but like I've considered like doing another video with her and like us like the whole thing would be like I take the old box of the game and like we'd literally like destroy it, like shred it, tear it apart or whatever, and then like we're like, finally we got rid of it, and we'd come back in and the brand new version.
Brand new one sitting there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just wonder if someday you'll get that. Dad, can you take down all those videos of me from when I was 7? You know,
I mean,
Nobody's ever seen him anyway, so
we'll find it. But it's sort of. I mean,
see, there's the thing too.
I just remember as a teenager, kids can be cool, right?
Well, that's a Simpsons squad when the Marge says kids can be so cruel, and then Bart goes, "Really? Thanks, Mom," and he runs around. Bart, why'd you punch me? Just because kids can be so cruel. I can. Thanks. Yeah. I don't know.
I have an old breakdancing video that I hope never sees light of day.
Oh,
13.
So
can
we see this breakdancing video then?
Oh, it's on the degraded VCR tape, never to be recovered.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank God for not having digital. I mean, I really feel sorry for kids these days because everything's preserved perfectly.
Everything is preserved forever. It's Norm Macdonald.
I think everyone has one of those tapes that they hope never makes it to digital media.
Yeah.
I remember when I was like 9 or 10, I used to tape record my own radio show where I played the DJ, and oh my God, it was so horrible. I found one of those tapes like 10 years ago, and I just sat there and cringed listening to how ridiculous I was.
I have a cooking show with my stepsister. It was everybody thought it was hilarious, and I just thought it was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
My mother found a old, and I remember doing this after she showed it to me. Like me and my friends would we'd record ourselves and we'd read Mad Magazine and read the jokes and stuff, like old audio tapes. She found that like a few years ago. She was like, "Yeah, I found all of these." I was like, "I remember making those." I was just kind of like, "Boy, I sound like a complete idiot." I'm
a dork.
Yeah. Oh God.
But one thing I do regret by not having digital in my life is I have no pictures from. I have like 2 pictures from high school and nothing from college. Like nothing.
Yeah, I've got.
Which is such a drag to me. I mean, like, oh, God. I remember so many great times in college and got nothing.
I did not.
Yeah, I've got probably. Yeah, I probably got like maybe 24 pictures of my college years. Now, like directly after my college years, I remember I had a few friends who were just crazy photo people. Like just like, and so like, and they've like shared.
You had to be a film photo person.
Yeah, but they should. I was gonna say Norm Macdonald had a funny bit where he said he talked about how everything's being saved. And he goes, and just like nowadays, like I'll tell somebody, it's like, hey, check this out, and I'll show them an old picture. It's like not really nice. It's black and white. It's like that's my great grandpa. And they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. 50 years from now, people's like, hey, you want to see 1,000,000 pictures of my great grandpa? Every picture of everything he did every day of his life that he uploaded to the internet.
But it's interesting, yeah. Like if you journal your life, like kids are doing,
yeah,
you've got it all now, and And it'll be interesting how it affects things. It's one of those,
It'll and everything. I mean, I seriously,
but nothing
you made
can
me
be
think of
forgotten.
this.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there, and there's my kid's taekwondo. There's this girl that like it was one of those things where like I was like I'm very proud of this girl that's in I have nothing to do. I'm not a parent or anything like that, but I'm proud of this girl because like she was like this girl that like didn't really like taekwondo at first, but she kept at it. I remember one time when she had to get a belt, she had to do a hammer fist break, basically like to come down and break a board, and like she was worried that she was gonna like hurt her hand. And I remember like she tried to do a break, and then remember they convinced her to try one more time, and like it sounded like she broke her hand. Like I mean, it was like, and it didn't break. It was just wham, and like just immediate bawling, tears. But I was like, she's done. She's never come back. But sure enough, a week later, she came back, broke the board the next time, whatever. But anyway, her dad, super nice guy. Like he's told me like on numerous occasions when I see him, he's like, hey, how's it going? I was like, hey, how you doing? I don't know his name to save my life, but he knows my name now. And he always thinks I played in some band. He was like, oh man, I used to watch your band play. I was like, dude, I was never in a band. I was just like, yeah, no. He was just like, no. You played up your Horace,
man.
You played your Horace.
Grateful Dead.
I was like, nope, sorry. I just never in a band. Oh no. And so every once in a while he'll like, you're still, man. I remember you used to play guitar. I was like, nope. But he was talking to me, and he was just and he was like I had like he was talking about how he handles his pictures. He's like, oh, and he's just one of those guys that like he'll start talking, and like you don't have to say a word for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're familiar.
You met
I knew as soon as I said it, I was like,
Beer match.
We have a little experience with someone like that.
No, and but he talked about how he spent like $600 on like basically this basically a vault for like like a vault in his house, like a
safe.
Yeah, like a hard, like this basically safe hard drive vault thing where basically he's been like going through all of these old hard drives and pulling pictures, and he's like, oh, it just takes forever because I mean I started like going through and making sure I only took ones that were in focus, and then I mean he's like literally talking about how he's got these thousands upon thousands of pictures, and I was just like, oh, that's crazy. I was like, that's just but I'm slowly getting through, I mean, then basically all this stuff will be preserved, and I was just like, that's pretty cool, and I was like, I mean, it's like I said, and but he's also talking about how he wants to back up this thing, so he can't ever lose this stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, I said there's always the cloud, and he goes, oh, I would never put anything on the cloud. And he got like really low, like conspiracy level like voice where he was just like, oh no, you don't put stuff in the cloud, do you? He's just like, oh. You're just basically letting the world know what you're up to. I was like, okay, I think we're out. Time. Like, he started putting the tinfoil hat on and started telling me exactly.
People do worry about that though, but they don't worry about other things.
Right?
Yeah, like, my password will be password 123, but I can't put anything in the cloud.
Oh, I got an email like 4 days ago, somebody saying I have not played like World of Warcraft in almost a decade, and I got an email saying somebody tried to hack my account. We're sending you this email because somebody's asking you to change your password. I'm just like, yeah, you can go for it. I don't know what you're gonna do. I was like,
the good old days of the MMO. I just started playing City of Titans recently, which is awesome.
What is City of Titans?
So it is the spiritual successor to City of Heroes.
Yeah, okay.
And right now, if you pre-ordered or backed it on Kickstarter, you get access to the character creator, and then it lets you out on like the tutorial island where you can just kind of run around and jump around, but there's like no people or activity. It's just like an empty island for you to offline island for you to just check out the like jump mechanics and just kind of get an idea.
Just like City of Heroes.
Yeah, really. But it's been a lot of fun.
I'll say,
I just sit and make characters like in my spare time. It's so
City of Heroes was fun, but it was fun. But my favorite thing about City of Heroes, and I doubt I can ever reclaim like this level of excitement. I remember we were playing it, and it was like 4 or 5 of us, all friends, living in town. We're all gonna let's log on today after work, and we'll play City of Heroes. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And so we started playing, and well, 2 things. That one night that we were playing all together, team together, whatever. There was a button you could push that would cause your character to like say their attack their thing, like, you know, stop evildoers, and it would be a little speech bubble above their head would pop up, and you'd see it or whatever. And so my buddy Matt, there was our friend Kyle, that he was playing his character, and his character's name was Majin, Majin. And so we were getting ready, and like there's like a group of us, like we're gonna go and fight like this big thing. It was like there was like, oh, you know, groups can go and fight this big thing, and there's all these groups trying to like fight it, and they're getting beat. Then we show up to fight it, and my buddy Matt like made his speech balloon thing when he hit the button. It was like Majin is a dork. Like, you know, this guy's fighting, and then but like 30 seconds later, like we're fighting something else, and Kyle had changed his instead of like stop evildoers was I'm a dork. We thought it was funny, you know, whatever. We're like it was hilarious to us. But I was the first person to get flight. Before you could just levitate, and you could levitate and move, but you move like really, really slow. And we were using that to get to like certain things or whatever. And I remember I got my character to flight, so I could actually move fast. And I remember like they were all like levitating really like slower than walking speed to get to this thing at a high flight. I remember I was just flying around them, like just like at this circle around them constantly. And I remember my buddy Brent, I hate you, Lance. I was just like, this is so much fun. Look how mobile I am. You guys can barely move. I'll be back in a half an hour when you finally get there. Other than that, though, I just can't see myself ever playing an MMO again. I'll never have the time to.
It'll be different for me for sure. Like I plan on playing City of Titans when it comes out, but my goal is to hopefully get enough people that I like to play on a very casual couple hours a week basis, like maybe 2 or 3 hours one night a week. I'll get my money's worth out of it if I can get that. I don't ever think I'll ever be able to play like I did back when City of Heroes first came out, and I was putting 35, 40 hours a week into it. And there's no way. But I love superheroes, and it's been far too long since I've played any kind of real MMO style game. And I miss them, but I agree that the time constraint. I have to find like-minded people who aren't going to blitz ahead and then make me feel like I've got to spend every waking moment trying to catch up. That's the key.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I played World of Warcraft, and it was like a second job. It was, you know, it was just like, I got to put in my 25 hours a week playing this game.
The difference was back then, where me and my friends were at our lives, we had the time. So there was always 1 or 2 people who were playing 8 hours a day, and then everyone else was playing catch up. But now my friends are a much more casual group. So I feel like if I were to go back into an MMO today, we would actually experience everything and do all the little quests and take our time and level slowly, which is what the intent always was, but never would be. Now I feel like it would be based off circumstance alone, because we just wouldn't be able to put the time in that we used to. So,
yeah, my wife plays in a super casual group. They just play every Friday night, but.
And that's what I'm looking at, like a Friday or Saturday night group that will play maybe, you know, one night they'll get on for 2 or 3 hours and we'll play, and then everyone else will just dink and dunk a couple hours here and there, and everyone will progress at relatively the same speed. We'll all do the same kind of content. We'll all just have fun, and we're not going to try to blitz to the end game. We're just going to enjoy the ride. That's kind of what I'm looking at, because I have the days of grinding for raid loot and min-maxing is just way past now. I'll never do that again.
Oh,
It sucked all the fun out of it for me.
How can you ever? I mean, you could just never have the time. I mean, it's just it's one of those things
now.
where it just doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, it's the way it is. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. That's the one thing that I always just like. I kind of miss it. But I mean, it's just like that was a completely different universe. I mean, that was like, I mean, literally, my relationship with my girlfriend, now wife, was I mean, it was just that ultimately was like one of the reasons why I stopped playing. It was just like, I've got somebody that like, I really, really care about and I like, and I could like hang out and do things with her and not feel like I need to like go and grind away which one of my 3 characters do I need to grind away on tonight? I mean, but I'll never say like the time I played WoW wasn't worth it. It was super fun. I mean, just like that was back when like being able to have like somebody had to have a Ventrilo account. Remember that everybody had Vent?
I was the guy who had the Ventrilo account for our group when we played EverQuest 2 and City of Heroes and Star Wars Old Republic and all those games.
I sent a guy like $5 a month to help pay for the Ventrilo account for our World of Warcraft thing, and because I paid him $5, he gave me my own channel in the Ventrilo thing, so I could go there and then. I remember I would. This is back when. I mean, I still listen to it now, but this is back when I was super into heavy metal, like super dark doom, satanic metal. And that was like what I listened to all the time, super loud. And there was a lot of guys that in the group, in the guild we were in, they were in it too. And then whenever I would almost never be logged out of World of Warcraft. I mean, I had a thing that would make my character, if I wanted to stay logged in, I would just like put myself in a corner. There's tons of places you could hide as a rogue. And I would just like I had a program that would make my character jump like at random like 15-second intervals. So the game would never log me out for being AFK. It was just, the game would always think I was there. And then in Ventrilo, I would basically play on my Winamp. Remember Winamp? You'd have like all your music playing on that. Like it would play my
ass.
What?
Winamp.
What'd you say?
Whips the llama's ass. Wasn't that their catchphrase?
I don't remember what, but Winamp was a super sweet program to play music.
Come on.
You could set up all these different, and then I remember I would sit there and I would just sit there and I would say it was like I would play the heavy metal through that, and the guys that I played with, I'd log in and there would be like a half a dozen. There would be like a half a dozen guys just sitting in my Ventrilo channel listening to my heavy metal play while they played music, so they'd have something on. Like I said, I remember I'd come home from work, I'd get logged in, and I mean the living room in my 1-bedroom apartment, I was never in there, because I would sit down at my computer desk, and to my right was like this like 25-inch television that had Adult Swim on, Cartoon Network, and I would sit down and I would turn that on, and I would sit there and I'd play. And there's a guy that lived down in Texas that I was like he and I would talk all the time, and it makes me. That's one of the things I wish there was some way I could figure out how to get a hold of that guy, because he was a super nice guy. He was basically he liked almost everything the same as me. He loved heavy metal. He loved James Bond movies. I mean, he would say, "Hey, James Bond movies are on Never Say Never's on Turner Network." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." Turn the channel. Just like. But yeah, I mean, it was World of Warcraft was super fun, man. And in the long run, it saved me so much money. I wasn't like going out every night. I wasn't, I mean, it was like that $15 a month was chump change, to what it is. I always just wonder, what did Blizzard do with all that money? where it was just like, if you think it was like at their peak, what do they have, like 17 million subscribers?
They took profit.
13 million was their highest.
People
Well,
make
but okay, so you just think about that, and every one of them, let's just say they're like, after whatever, it's $10 a person. I mean, that was still $130 million a month. You think about that, and you just like, you know, I mean, it's just a stupid amount of money. That, and you know, and what does Blizzard do now? I mean, Blizzard barely ever doesn't really make anything anymore.
Yeah, I think they said their WoW subscriber base, one of my friends mentioned it like a month or two ago. I think they're down to like 3 million people, which is still a lot in the grand scheme of things. But when you consider they were at 13 million at their peak, it's quite a lot.
Well, I mean, it's just, there's too much. There's too many options right now for people to play, and everybody would rather. I think we're in such a different world now. I mean, I think people are just so in tune on their phones.
Well, plus there's a lot of new stuff. Amazon's got a new MMO coming out in May, and they're producing the next Lord of the Rings online MMO game that's coming out in a couple years. So, I mean, there's all these big hitters are now getting into the game, so it's going to spread populations out like crazy.
So when did World of Warcraft come out?
Oh God, like 15 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2006, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6 or 7 somewhere.
So let's go 2006. Activision Blizzard stock at the time was worth $7.55 a share. So for them not doing anything, it's worth $60.40 a share now. And at its peak, its highest ever value was in 2018. They're not hurting.
No, well, I'm sure they're not hurting, but I also just wonder, it's just like one of those things where I just can't imagine anybody ever. I can't imagine any game, because every game's online now, right? I mean, it's just
mostly.
I mean, unless it's like something like a small little game you pick on $5 on a Steam sale, but even those are online because it doesn't cost you anything to be online anymore. I mean, way back in the day, it was like, oh, geez, how are we going to afford to have all these things online? It's just like, you know, I mean, every single game for my PlayStation has an online component, you know, to play, you know, and you have games like Fortnite that literally, if you want, you can play it for free if you want to, and they don't care. It's just like because they just know people. I don't know. It's just such a crazy difference that we've come from, as far as, you know, like the world that we were in, as far as games were when we were young. And I don't say that to be like an old like, back in my day. Yeah, I don't say it like that. I just think it's so like weird thinking about how much things have changed, and like you know, I mean, like, what's it going to be 10 years from now? You know, what are games going to be like for them? You know, I mean, I find it really curious trying to like just kind of wrap my head around that.
Well, there's a lot of different things. I mean, PC technology is still pretty advanced, and it's still, while it advances every year, I think your traditional PC games have kind of looked the same now for the last few years. I haven't seen any big leaps in technology that have made, other than VR, I haven't seen anything that's really pushed the envelope. I mean, the PC games from 2 and 3 years ago look very similar to the PC games that are coming out now. Graphics haven't jumped like they did 10 years ago. You know, I think things have plateaued a little bit, and I think they're waiting for the next big push before something revolutionizes PC gaming. As like between Xbox One and Xbox One X, the video games don't look that much different. A little bit crisper, maybe a little bit faster resolution, but I haven't seen the jump in gaming like I did 10 years ago or 12 years ago when the leap in graphics went from like, you know, 360 Xbox era to like where it is now. I mean, I feel like it's slowing down a little bit.
Are any of you, I mean, like, when the PS5 comes out later this year, you guys picking it up? I mean, it's like a foregone conclusion for me that I'll do it. I've never bought a thing like when it releases, but as soon as I
buy launch consoles.
Yeah, whenever the pre-order goes up, I mean, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, I've always, that was kind of a thing my grandfather got me hooked on. Is when I was a kid, he was the one who'd take me to the store the day a console came out and bought it. Like I remember getting 5200 Atari and ColecoVision and Intellivision and all. He was big into technology back when I was a kid, so it's kind of a thing I do. So now I take my kids and we'll go to, you know, pick up the consoles on launch day. My son will go with me to the midnight releases when they do the consoles at midnight and stuff. So it's kind of cool, but I don't know. Like, I just got the Xbox One X less than a year ago, and it's like, from what I understand, most of the games coming out on Xbox, the new Xbox system, for the first year, they're not going to have any console exclusives, so they'll all be playable on both Xbox One X and Xbox Scorpio, or whatever they're going to call it. So it's less of an incentive for me to get the new Xbox at launch rather than wait a year and get it at Christmas when it's probably going to be on sale. But the PS5 is another story. If they have like a really good Spider-Man game or something that's going to come out short after launch, I will want to play that because the last one was so good. So I'm not sure.
You worked in the video game industry forever. I mean, like where do you see it going? If you had to like think about it and guess.
Talk about me.
Yeah, like you worked in video games for how long? And I mean, just like where do you see it?
It replaces movies. I mean, people aren't going to the movies much anymore, so you're doing video. Yeah, video games are bigger than ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will be, and will be the biggest thing ever, right? No one wants to leave the house anymore. Everybody orders their stuff to their house. It's just a natural progression of us turning into Wall-E.
Oh, hey, can I share a grievance? Not that I want to bring everybody down, because this is actually this is an interesting conversation. I think I complained about this. Well, no, it was something that made me angry. Angry. No, that I can't. The reason that I cannot share publicly, because I would I'll share the angry thing that
in chat. In our chat,
yeah, some other time. So like a week or two ago, so like I've told you this before, I live in a kind of a rural area. It's now, I mean, when we first built our house, I built a house like a decade ago. There really wasn't anything out here. Since we built the house, like, I mean, now we have a grocery store, like a big giant supermarket, real close by. They built a school out by us. So the world's like the towns move further and further south and has come back. But we still, our post office, like, it's still considered to be a rural route. And so like our postal, the people that bring us our mail, they don't actually have a post office truck or anything. Like, it's just this lady that has, I mean, we've gone through a lot of different postal workers, but this one, she has her own Jeep, that like a Jeep that, like, for whatever reason has the driver on the right side kind of thing. And she just, and then she delivers the mail. Fine, whatever. Awesome. I came back from picking up my son from school one day, and I saw that she had, like, after snowfall, she had gotten hung up, like, on a big snowbank, where, like, and to this day I was like, what? How did you even? There wasn't even a mailbox next to it. It was like she just decided she was going to drive over this snowbank to get to the next mailbox, and she just misjudged it, and she got stuck. And just basically, the undercarriage of the Jeep was so high that, like, the wheels weren't touching. So I went and I grabbed and she's like on the other side of the street, and so which whatever, it doesn't matter. But I went and grabbed a bucket of sand and a shovel, and I just went over there, and because she was trying to dig herself out with, like, literally, like, an ice scraper, like, and I was just like, here, let me help you, and then I dig it out, and I put some sand behind her wheels, her rear wheels, so they had some traction, and I pushed, and just like the old sled training stuff in football, like, I just kept on rocking it back and forth. Eventually got her out, got her free. She was like, oh, thanks so much. I was like, I'll see you in a few minutes when you deliver the mail. No big deal. Just happy to help. Otherwise, she wasn't going to be able to get out of there. She was all by herself. So I went, got my mail, whatever. Like, one of the things about when we get lots of snow, because we're in a cul-de-sac, the snow plows, like, don't get close enough. They get within, like, a couple of feet of the curb, and they leave a bunch of snow, and so you have to dig it out, or else you can't get your mail, because you have to, like, basically dig out your own. You have to dig out the street so you can get your mail. So I dug out this chunk so she could pull up and drop off and get to my mailbox. And a lot of times I get packages. So like she doesn't even have to do that. She has to come to the door anyway. And she even has said that a few times. She's like, oh, you always get packages. I always have to get out of my car. And I was just like, oh, sorry. Just like, it's like stop working for the postal service, I guess, or whatever. But anyway, like I didn't get mail for like 2 or 3 days. This is like about a week after I dug her out. And she knows where I live. She knows who I am. And I just didn't get any mail. And then I was outside one day and she pulled up and she's like, oh, I'm glad I finally saw you. And I was like, oh, what's going on? She's like, well, I haven't delivered your mail the last couple of days because I can't get into your mailbox. And I was just looking, I was like, you can pull in right there. I mean, you have a Jeep, you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, you can pull right there. Well, you have to make it so I can just keep driving straight forward. I shouldn't have to go into reverse to deliver your mail. And I was like, so you haven't delivered mail for like last 3 days, didn't leave a note, didn't leave anything. I just said lucky enough I was just out here so you could tell me this. I was just like, I hope someday I see her hung up on another snowbank and I can just be like, oh, maybe you should have gone backwards.
Reverse.
Yeah, put it in just like I was like, after I dug you out, I mean, it just like, man, no good deed goes unpunished. Just what happened to Keith? What happened to him?
I think he got tired.
I don't know.
Oh, my stories just bored him, I guess. But yeah, I was severe. I was just fuming. So today I dug the whole thing out, and then she delivered my mail. But I mean, I was still just like, you donkey, just made me so angry. It's like, why did I, don't do anything good for people. They just spit on your face later. But anyway, so Keith. You backed Lazy Gamer 2 then, you said. The
off.
What?
Keith is gone.
Keith's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you just said Keith.
It's not Keith, sorry. Pete, you backed Lazy Gamer 2?
I backed it at $1 just so I could kind of get an idea if I was something I was going to want or not. I wanted to see what the stretch goals are unlocked and stuff. But it's interesting only because I play a lot of miniatures games, and having a multi-level table like that would actually work well with some of the stuff I want to do. Even if it wasn't the full table, but just a plate that had those little things on it that I could elevate areas of the table to be at a higher elevation. So I'm considering it, but I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of waiting to see how the rest of the campaign goes.
I'll be curious to see.
Because the way some of those plates were set up, you could take 3 sticks and make one plate self-standing. And in a miniatures game, to be able to have elevation like that would be pretty cool. To have half a board elevated, to have half a table elevated up like a city, and then have like a subway station below. For some of the games that I'm looking at, even if the elevation isn't that much higher, would be kind of cool. But I don't know if it's worth the price, because I think to get
like, we don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about the level up, the portable tabletop expansions for any board, card, or role playing game. So basically, it's like these little panels that lock together, and then like it stands up in the middle of your table. So like it just basically gives you another.
It's unlike stilts, little stilts,
yeah,
like
stilts.
6-inch, 8-inch stilts. So basically, it elevates the table so you could put books or a game board or a dungeon map on it, and then have the room underneath for like papers and pens and drinks and all that stuff. So it kind of creates a double-decker table so that you have more space for stuff. But I don't know that it's high enough that it really gives you a lot of room to like do too much underneath there. So it's kind of a specific item that's going to work really well for some people and not well at all for a lot of people. So I found possible uses for what I would use it for, but I just don't know if I would justify paying $60, $80, $100 to get enough of the accessories and add-ons to make it work, or just say forget it. It's an interesting idea. I pledged $1 just to be able to keep an eye on it and to get in the pledge manager if I forget to pledge it, if I decide I want to. But I'm kind of leaning kind of 50-50 right now.
For $58, you get one of the sets, the six sets, and it's like I don't. I just. It's one of those things where I'm like, my big thing that people don't realize, and this is just my thought, is that people don't realize that when you raise up something like a little bit, it makes it that much more difficult to like reach over to the other side of the table. And I just and because like that was one of the things where the tabletoppers, which I love. I mean, the Kevin's tabletop is great, but you have to have kind of a lower table, in my opinion, because the tabletopper raises it up by about 2.5 inches. And so, like, I remember for the table with my tabletopper on it, I made sure that I got a table that was a little lower than normal. Like, I made sure because, so when I put the tabletopper on top of it, it was like the level of a normal table.
Yeah. Well, for the reason I would get it, it would be miniatures games, which 90% of which you stand when you play. You don't really sit down too often when you're playing miniatures because you need to see the whole table, and the bird's eye view is a much better perspective to see where units and troops and stuff are moving. So for that instance, the height's not the issue. It's just functionally, will it work? Is it sturdy? Is it gonna knock over or shake or wobble? You're gonna have to put so many pegs under it to keep it stable that you really don't get any usefulness underneath it.
I don't think. I think you're talking about the useful underneath. What you're gonna look underneath and like be playing miniatures underneath as well?
No, I wouldn't be using the whole table. I'd be using sections of it to make elevated playing fields for like multi-level miniatures gaming.
I mean, I can't. I might be crazy here, but like the pictures they have of this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Board gamers wouldn't need this. Can you?
No, board gamers. This is solely something for miniatures tabletop gaming because I don't see any reason for a board.
Why would you put a board game on top of this stupid thing?
Yeah, unless you had like a coffee table you were trying to make tall enough to make it like a gaming table. Sure. That'd be the only reason I can see that working.
Yeah,
this is strictly for miniatures gaming for me. And if I can find usefulness to be able to do that, then I would get it. But
yeah.
I'm not. It's like I said, it's 50-50 now. I really just want to see what else is unlocked, and it's worth $1 to keep on it so that I don't forget about it.
5,000 backers have backed this thing.
Yeah, I mean, good for them. I mean, I don't take anything away from them, but
I just can't see any use for it in my current gaming.
Well, I was thinking about it because, like, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, hey, they still have the 24-hour thing where like you can get in and it's a little bit cheaper right now. You know, and you can get for $58. There's like 14 hours to go on that. And I was kind of like, that's pretty cool. And I was just like, maybe that would be something I'd get. And then I sit there and I think it's just like, well, but you know, what would I use it for? Like, I mean, I wouldn't use it for D&D, you know, because we already have a big table up where I play D&D. So there's no reason for it for there. I don't know. I think it's the whole thing with like the Lazy Gamer that I love was the fact that it was on the Lazy Susan, right? And you could spin it around.
That's 100% more useful. I've played on a Lazy Susan. They're great.
I have a Lazy Susan. I have this big 22-inch wooden Lazy Susan that I use for deck building games, and it's great. You can pretty much almost any main deck building game, you can get the main part of the game on the Lazy Susan so that everyone has their little stuff. And I have a hexagon table, and I can get 4 or 5 people sitting there, and we can just spin it around so everyone can read the cards properly without having to move stuff around. It's fantastic.
Yeah, if anybody wants to like make their own Lazy Gamer, and you have an IKEA next to them, they have a very large Lazy Susan, and it's like super cheap. It's like I think it's like 16 inches, and it's like and you can buy a rubber mat for it, so like the board won't flop around. And yeah, I mean, I have one for my like some games where I'll put a board on top of it, and I have one for my painting station as well for when I'm using my airbrush. So I can just I don't have to hold the miniature. I can just swivel turn the miniature around while I use my airbrush, which is helpful in the zenithal lighting where you're like you spray you do the dark color, then you slowly angle up the way you paint, and then like with the lighter color, then the super lightest color, so you actually make it look like the shadows and everything show up on the figure a lot better. But anyway, it works really well. And yeah, I mean, Lazy Gamer. Just there's still people that post in there. Just
You
like,
want a pinky? I'll get you
what?
a pinky. You want a pinky? I'll get you a pinky.
You know, it would
With
not
green toe
it would
polish.
not stun me in the slightest if that was like a doctored photo. Like
No,
I mean,
no, there's no way that was real. It was real. That was
it
real.
would,
It had
it
to
would,
be.
well, okay, but what I'm saying is that if like he had a friend who didn't have a finger and he was like, okay, I'm gonna post this and they're gonna feel sorry for me or something like that, it would not stun me in the slightest.
God, can you imagine the brains behind that? What about all the stuff? He had all that stuff at his house.
Well, no, I seriously believe. I think he went into it with the intention of totally with the intention of coming through and doing it. But I firmly believe that as things spiraled out of control, he definitely what?
Manufactured stories and
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like, what can I possibly say or do or change, to like, like to engender sympathy, and understanding.
Have you checked it lately?
Like I said, I every week or so I go back to like the things that I backed that haven't given me my stuff, and I go and look, and there's still one or two people that still post, just like,
kind of amazing how many years some of these things are going.
and I like to feel I invoked my rights as a backer, and then they copy and paste.
Your rights of a backer are jack squat and a little bit of
just like I invoke my rights as a backer. That no, you can. I've seen the when people are like, I had contacted Kickstarter about this, and they basically said, yeah, we will we'll contact them ourselves as well, and which we'll be like, yawn, we already spent your money. It's
I wonder how many years go by before. I mean, like this year, like I guess someone posted up that last year was the biggest year of Kickstarter games channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think total sales.
What year does this all not work anymore? Like,
okay, so that's an itchy question. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where I mean, I work for a company that depends on.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
so. I hope it's not until the day after I retire.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
It has to, right? It has to.
I could definitely see. So, okay, take for example, the reprint of Rococo. They're just going through CrowdOx and saying, if you want to pre-order the game, go ahead and go to CrowdOx and pre-order the game.
I think you'll see more of that. I think you'll see a lot more of that.
And I think, but that's a little bit different because they're like, we know we're gonna have a print run of whatever 2,000 games, so we're gonna use CrowdOx as a way for us to see how many copies of this game people actually want.
We did a similar thing with our Wacky Races Deluxe. We did a direct pre-order from our website, and then we built our manufacturing out of that. So end users could do it. Retailers could pledge directly from us without having to use Kickstarter or any of those things. So we could do a small print run of a game we knew we weren't going to make a ton of, which was a lot easier and cheaper for us than using the Kickstarter platform.
So here's the thing, though. I mean, and these are these things where we sit around and pontificate and try to be a futurist here and like try to think. So at some point, somebody is going to back something that'll be a substantial enough amount of money that, okay, for example, like when the restaurant Hooters, which doesn't really even exist anymore. I don't think.
No, there's Hooters around. There's one in Greenville.
We have several.
Okay, well,
maybe not the way it used to be 20 years ago.
So one of the, I think I've told the story before. One of the big things was basically they had a guy that went in and like applied to be a waiter, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't hire waiters. We hire waitresses." And then whose brother was a lawyer, so they could work that for like nothing, and they were like, well, that's sexual discrimination, and you can't, you know, tell me I can't work at a certain job, you know. And so they had this huge like lawsuit, and then basically because I worked there, I got a letter in the mail saying, you know, basically like they were like, oh, if you want to go ahead and get in on this like civil lawsuit, you need to return this questionnaire. And the questionnaire was literally, it was on a postcard and had literally had 2 questions on the entire thing. And it was like, did you work for Hooters? You know, and I was like, yes, I was a cook. You know, and I didn't say I was cook, I just did. And then they said, were you ever told there were certain jobs that you could not work at Hooters because of your gender, or perhaps not have been told, but it was just a commonly held understanding that you were not allowed to work certain jobs because of your gender? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, definitely. And then like, I don't know, it was like, I remember it was April Fool's Day of all things. My mother called me because like most of my mail still went to my mom's house, and she's like, hey, you know, it's like, you got a letter in the mail but for that thing. And I was like, uh-huh. And I was just like, she's like, do you want me to open it? And I was like, yeah. I thought it was my mom messing with me on April Fool's Day. I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. She's like, oh my God, it's a check for $1,400. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Mom.
You know, part of the class action lawsuit against Hooters.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Mom. She's like, no, seriously, it's a check for $1,400. And I was like, I'll drive. And this is back when I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And I was just like, so I drove over, and sure enough, it was a check for like $1,383 and some change or whatever. And it was just like, and I had a ton of friends who all had worked for them at some point, and we all got checks, except for the one guy who didn't fill out the postcard and send it in. We were just like, you idiot. It was free money. But yeah, so I told you that story basically to tell you this one, where it's like basically somebody
you were the cause of raising the price of Hooters chicken wings.
Maybe.
You know, well, they're not that good anyway.
I'll say this: you can buy the Hooters buffalo wing sauce and like use it for your own wings and be on keto. Wings are one of the few things I can eat a lot of, and they're totally keto friendly. The Hooters wing sauce you can buy to product is really good. It really makes a really good wing. But the thing about was somebody, like I said, somebody's going to back something at Kickstarter where it isn't going to be just like, oh, I backed it for $30. It's going to be like, oh, I backed this for like $2,000 or something like that, and the person or whatever is not going to come through, and they're going to be like, you know what, my uncle's a lawyer.
That's happened already, though.
That's happened already.
It's happened, but it hasn't been enough money for anybody to care about. It's like
$2,000 is not enough money for anyone to care about, because honestly, under that, at that limit, it's like small claims court. You're not going to get anywhere with it because you sign up for Kickstarter with the knowing that these projects are not guaranteed. It says it right in the freaking lettering. So
I understand that, but I mean, it's one of those things where somebody's going to say somewhere, it's like some judge somewhere is going to agree that, you know, Kickstarter needed to do better due diligence before they allowed, you know, Joe and Bob and their 2 friends living in a garage.
Very unlikely.
Yeah. You say very unlikely, but I mean, we live in a litigious society, and the thing is that if people think that they can have a class action against something, it'll happen. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's only a point.
Agreed to a contract saying they can't, and that's exactly what your Kickstarter account is.
I mean, you're a smart guy. There are tons of people who have had contracts for things that later on, the contracts have been declared null and void because of reason X, Y, and Z.
That's what lawyers live on. Kickstarter will get involved, and with their attorneys, this will never go anywhere further than a discussion.
You say that, but I mean, there have been bigger companies than Kickstarter.
Kickstarter's been around for how many years now?
Just Pete. All I'm saying is there are companies that are way bigger than Kickstarter who have armies of lawyers that are way bigger than they have, and I'm pretty sure those companies also felt these contracts are ironclad. There's no way we can. And then all of a sudden they're looking at losing.
All I'm saying is Kickstarter's been around for how many years now? 10 years, 12 years. There's been hundreds of unfulfilled projects. Nothing's come to light yet. Don't you think it would have happened by now if it was legally?
No, I mean, if it hasn't, just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean the propensity of it occurring can.
Instead of a legal issue, it's going to be a fatigue issue. Don't you get tired of spending money for games that never come out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more on the users stop using the platform.
Then the 3 biggest Kickstarters I've ever seen come out in the beginning of the year, and they're like killing it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, for certain things, it doesn't apply.
Well, with known quantities that you're not going to have to worry about the product coming out, it's a lot safer bet. If you're going to back a game from Mythic or Awakened Realms or Come On or Queen, you're going to get your stuff. When you back from Joe Schmo and his garage band, you have no clue what you're going to get. If it's a first-time backer or even a second or third-time backer or creator, you're taking a risk. I mean, call it what it is, glorified pre-order system, whatever. If you're going to put your money into Kickstarter, you better know what you're getting into. Look at the fine print, because you have no rights to anything. They don't have to deliver. They don't even have to give you a reason not to. It's right there, and you sign up for that when you sign up for your account. And yeah, you're right. It's possible someone may get ballsy and try to fight the system, but it's an uphill battle, because the first thing the lawyer is going to say is, well, what contract did you agree upon? And the Kickstarter rules of the platform are right there. And you're like, well, you signed in knowing that this was not a guaranteed thing.
Well,
it's going to take an awful lot. It'd have to be a huge campaign, like a freaking a death. What's the big miniatures game? What's the big miniatures game that did like $8 million? Kingdom Death. Yeah, it's going to take something like that not fulfilling to get enough people that pissed off that they're going to do something about it. Because if it's one of these $30,000 or $50,000 campaigns where people are all losing $50, it's never going to happen. Never going to happen in your lifetime. Not unless it's something big like a Kingdom Death or like a $3 million campaign where you've got 20,000 people jumping on it. But if it's 3,000 people that are out $45, the lawyer's not even going to waste his time, because it's not going to be worth the money with the amount of money he's going to make off of a case like that.
It's a perfect storm of a situation where, like I said, it's like, oh, my uncle's a lawyer who'll do it for free, and he'll do it just like, yeah, sure, whatever, and just like just like nobody ever thought that anybody would ever sue Hooters because they couldn't be a waitress because they were a dude, but eventually somebody was just like, oh, my brother can do this for me.
Right, but it is against the law to sexually discriminate. It is not against the law to put faith in a project that doesn't come to fruition. That's the big difference.
But my point is that and maybe it'll never happen, but I'm saying that there's a definite real possibility that somewhere along the line there's going to be a project where somebody puts like a substantial amount of money into something, and I'm not, and it's worth their time to it doesn't cost a lot of money, especially if you have connections to, or a lawyer themselves, just to file a lawsuit. It doesn't, it's one of those things. And if they can show that like there was some sort of dereliction of like Kickstarter's,
I'm sure it's already happened, Lance. This has probably already happened. The problem you haven't heard about it is because it was unsuccessful.
Well, there was one major one like 3 years ago, and it's still in court.
Well, there was the one Smash Monster Rampage from 5th Street Games. There was litigation against that one unfulfilling. I got letters from legal team about a class action lawsuit for that, and nothing ever came from it. It was thrown away, and then eventually the guy produced enough games to meet the demand of the minimum that was required, but the litigation went nowhere. I got letters from an attorney for like 2 years on that one. And nothing happened with it.
But that's against the company.
It was thrown away.
Not against Kickstarter. It's against the
company. It wasn't against Kickstarter. It was against 5th Street Games for the makers of the game. And eventually he was able to fulfill it through putting enough of his own money into the project to be able to pay for the print run and shipping. But people were trying to class action lawsuit that, and everyone that was involved in that campaign got pulled in and got letters and all this junk, and nothing ever happened. Again, that was a small Kickstarter under 100,000. It was like 3,000 or 4,000 people that were involved. So I just don't know that. I don't know that. I mean, the lawyer would have to really be personally bent out of shape over it, because most attorneys that would look at a Kickstarter that was the ones that don't fulfill, the usual ones that barely fund at $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000, they're going to look at the total amount that they would earn from a class action off of that, and they're just going to laugh and say it's not worth the time, especially once they look at the Kickstarter platform. It would be epic.
Something Sean Gibbs said here. He said that if somebody can get money for hot coffee, actually do research into that.
Yeah. She almost died.
she didn't almost die, but she suffered
She did almost die, actually.
ridiculous. Well, I've heard. I mean, it was like they served her coffee that was like 150 degrees or something like that. I mean, it was.
She was definitely well justified in that lawsuit.
They have pictures. It's horrific.
Ugh.
Almost died.
When I think about
it's like skin coming off the bone kind of stuff. Yeah.
Don't. It's gross. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, hot coffee.
Well,
I came in at the right time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Richard.
Old ladies, 3rd-degree burns. Nice. Good stuff.
Oh.
Hey, did you get anything in the mail, Pete?
I did. Thank you very much. I punched it and played it. There was a question I wanted to ask you, though. It was really weird. The game, the cards, the punch board looked brand new, but the insert looked like it had been beaten up. Was it a weird copy? Was it like a prototype copy, or was it a real production copy?
I think it's a retail copy, definitely.
It's so weird.
Not a pre-release. They sent me that well after Essen.
It's so weird because the cards are still in the plastic. The punch board hadn't been punched. I'm like, this is a brand new game. And then I lift the board up and the insert looked like it was 30 years old. And even the board looked like it had a lot of wear around it. And I'm like, for a game that's still sealed, this looks like is it production quality? I mean, I know you're the type of person that takes care of your stuff. So I'm like,
no. All my inserts get properly worn in. Wink.
Yeah. So it's like weird. I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, where half of the components look brand new and the other half of the components look like they're from a game from the 80s. It was so weird.
Send them
but
an
I'm
email.
excited to play. I'm going to play it this weekend.
Excellent.
Yeah, let me know how it is.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to Tantrum Con this weekend. It's like 20 minutes from my house, so I will get it to the table and finally get to play
with the correct rules.
Yes, very important to play with the correct rules.
Yeah.
Is the rule book correct, or is that not correct?
It's not even mentioned, but I don't know.
Hey, Richard, did you see that Steamopolis finally uploaded the English rules?
Yes. Don't know what took them so long.
Yeah. So now you can actually play the game.
Yeah. No, they actually sent me a German PDF that I ran through Google Translate.
Oh, geez.
Which is what I had to do to film it.
Ouch.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, they had said that whoever they had hired to do it. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
I'm happy you got it. So, hey, Pete, these Oculus Rifty things, these Questy things. So it never occurred to me, but the number one thing I think I would be most interested in, because I'm really not looking to play any more video games in my life. I've played more than enough. Is what is the experience of watching a big screen movie?
It's okay. So
okay.
It is a very unique way to watch media content.
Yeah.
Because you're in the illusion of sitting in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Sitting in your house.
Yeah.
So basically, like the big screen app that I was talking to these guys about when they were talking about interested in getting a Rift, basically simulates you sitting in a house or a movie theater or an auditorium, and it puts up like what appears to be a movie screen size screen, which realistically is a small screen, but it's so close to you in the way that they amplify it, makes it look like you're.
Well, that's the thing. Does it trick your brain into feeling like you're watching a full 30-foot screen?
Absolutely does, yeah.
Because I could hold my phone like this, and my brain is not tricked into thinking it's a 30-foot screen.
The difference is that you can hold your phone there, but when you look left and right, you see what's around you. Sure. When you're in the headset, your peripheral vision is seats and of like an auditorium or other people. Like big screen, you can have multiple people in the same room. You literally feel like you're in a movie theater watching TV, and it's a neat experience, and you can share the media with other people because you can broadcast stuff that you have, and other people can join in and watch if you let them. So it's an interesting thing. Like
never done it.
Me and my buddy were watching The Witcher through big screen because he was getting ready to watch the series. I'm like, so am I. I was like, why don't we watch it in big screen? Because we play a lot of VR games together, and we watched the The Witcher, like the first couple episodes of it in big screen. It's like
so you said you've done it too, Aldi?
No, I just say you should demo it. But yeah, I've watched the Oculus, but I get like fogged up on the Oculus. Like I'm a foggy person.
The new one's a little better. It's got a little bit bigger nose.
Basically, 30 minutes in, it's all fogged and you can't watch. So it's like,
there are things you can get to help prevent that. I had that problem with the old Oculus, but with the new Rift S, they've got a new plate that helps make it more breathable so that it doesn't have the same fogging issues. I can go about 2 hours before I have to take it off, and all you have to do is take it off. With the new lenses they have, you set it down for like 5 minutes and you put it back on, and it's back to good again. So
right. And I'm pretty sure with the
you've got one now too, right? You got a Quest for Christmas for your kids. Have you tried it, Lance?
Yeah, I've tried it.
Movies or whatever with big screen. And there's like 3 or 4. Amazon Prime has their own. I've looked into this a lot now because I'm really interested in that. Because here's my problem.
My biggest problem with it is I don't like watch movies by myself. I watch them with either my kids or I watch them with my wife at home and stuff like that. And it'd be just kind of like, and part of like the fun is like sit on the couch and whatever. And,
sure.
But you could watch a movie with me in big screen, and we could sit and chat.
And he'd
look and the thing is beta, and we definitely can do that. But I mean, and since the widescreen thing is totally beta and it's free, and that's fine. But I mean, I don't. Other than the novelty of doing it, I mean, I just as far as like most of my TV watching is done with my wife, and I don't see both of us like putting on a Oculus goggle.
It's the future. It's the Wall-E future.
Yeah, now we can watch the same program 3 feet away from each other, but we don't have to actually look at one another. We can just both watch.
Its best application is for friends who don't live together in the same area. Like my buddy is in Chicago, and I see him.
It would be our chance to sit down and watch Jedi together.
We actually play 3 games 3 nights a week on Oculus. He lives in Chicago. I see him maybe once or twice a year, either at a convention or he'll come visit the house, and we will get together a couple nights a week and play ping pong or tennis, or we'll play Star Trek, or we'll watch movies in big screen. And that's kind of our way of still being able to hang out, even though we're hundreds of miles away. And it feels like we're still hanging out. Like
easily 70 or 80% of all my media watching, I watch alone, and that's fine. I don't particularly mind. So that's not an issue for me. My problem is I have gone to I want to be all by myself as a dad.
I don't know if it would be as exciting for you then. I think the excitement for me, like Lance said, it's more of a stimulating experience to watch with other people.
Well, that's why the main thing I'm interested in is replicating. Is your brain tricked into thinking you're looking at a 30-foot screen?
Yes, that part.
2 things. There's that, so I can feel like I'm going to the movie theater because I used to love doing that. 2, these are stereoscopic devices, so I can actually watch 3D movies in 3D, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have not watched a 3D movie in it yet. But because the technology,
in theory, it is 3D technology, so it should be significantly better than 3D in a theater where you have to use crappy glasses that do brain tricks. No, they can actually just show you this stuff.
I don't know how that would work, but I know that they have 3D experiences that are built specifically for the headset. I don't know how an actual traditional 3D movie would translate in it, but I would imagine it would be pretty much better experience. I know the experiences that are specifically designed for VR are amazing. Like they put you in the middle of whatever you're watching.
Right. But I mean that it tricks you into actual depth of 3D. That actually works.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because I like that in theory, but I don't want to go to the movie theaters to have it, and I don't have a 3D TV at home. My other problem is I'm getting to the point where, I mean, whenever I'm watching anything, I've got my laptop right there, and I am very, very hard pressed not to. Oh well, okay, I'll just look something up while I'm doing this, and the next thing you know, I only half watch anything I watch. It's kind of attractive, the idea of nope, these are on. There's nothing else but this.
Well, see, part of the fun for when my wife and I watch stuff is that like we'll see somebody and we're like, that guy totally looks like, the guy that played like the dad in that movie, and then like one of us will pick up our phone and like, yep, that was him, and we're like, yes.
You're not escaping internet from being in your headset, because even big screen, you have options to broadcast your desktop to the screen.
Oh, sure.
So if you wanted to pause the movie and hit a button, you could actually pull up your internet browser and do your Google right inside the headset.
I can pause and go to the bathroom too. But what I assume big screen at this point, and hopefully never supports, is look, I'm looking at the 30-foot screen, and you know what? I'm just going to put a little picture-in-picture over here so I can browse IMDb or whatever while I'm
No, there's not that I know of. There's no picture-in-picture. Although the big screen,
eventually,
the big screen, if you have like for me, I have multi-monitors, so if I broadcast my desktop, I can either stretch the movie, or I can pull up two different windows and have the movie in half of it and a web browser in the other. So you can.
Are you controlling your computers? Are you doing that with a keyboard that's separate from your VR?
No, I can do it all inside with the touch controllers because it's got an options menu and all that. And then once you broadcast your desktop, your Oculus touch controller is your mouse cursor, and your left and right triggers are the left and right mouse buttons. So you can just manipulate things with the controller. It takes a lot of getting used to, but I can do it.
Yeah, it's a thing where you're using a thing and you're like, it's like you're pointing a laser pointer.
Yeah, it's a laser pointer that acts as a mouse cursor. But I can also bring my headset around the corner to my desk and actually sit at my desktop if I wanted to. You set your Guardian wherever you want, so you could technically set your Guardian in front of your computer desk and watch in VR right in front of your keyboard, so you don't have to use your cursor. You can actually use your mouse. So it's very adaptable. They're making it very friendly for those who want to stay in front of their PCs and those who want to go out in the middle of a room and just sit in a comfy chair or a couch and just chill and watch VR.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was definitely keen on it, because it would force me to pay attention to the movie.
If you're using it more for a media device,
it doesn't sound like I'd be spared from my natural predilection to multitask.
No, if you're looking more as a media device, I would recommend the Quest over the Rift. The Rift is more of a setup an area for VR.
I'm never gonna. It would be a Quest or nothing. I have zero interest in. I don't have a PC that's worth a damn that would be worth plugging into. So
I wouldn't say that, because the Rift S with the new technology now, they've lowered the requirements for what you need to play it on. But yeah, for what you're wanting to use, the Rift is better anyway, and they're making a cable for the Rift S that allows you to connect. Or Quest, they're making a new cable that'll allow you to connect it to a PC. So you'll be able to get some of that functionality down the road. But if you're into gaming, then it's definitely Rift S. The Quest can play games, but the Rift S has a quadruple the library because of the extra power that it has available.
Well, it has quadruple the library for now, but a year from now, no one will be developing for the Rift, period. Everybody's going to be developing for the Quest because that's where the money is.
Well, the Rift S, actually, they'll keep developing for it because it basically uses PC architecture. So you can play Valve games on your Rift S.
Sure. Yeah,
so there'll always be a library, because the Steam library for VR is thousands of games, and my Rift S can play all of them. But yeah, Oculus has been pretty supportive of the fact that Rift S will continue to be supported, because now Quest and Rift S are getting so close that they can just produce the game and it'll work on both. So they're making them cross-platform now. Most of the games that are coming out now, if you buy it on one, you get it on both, because I have both. I've got a Rift S that my family uses, and I have a Quest that my family uses, and I have a Rift S in the basement. So my daughter will play with the Quest upstairs, and I have my Rift S set up in the basement within an area that's dedicated for it.
Who makes the Quest?
Oculus's Quest. It's the same market, same company. Everything I purchased, everything I purchased on Rift S, all the newer stuff is already unlocked on my Quest, so I can use it on either platform.
What's the difference?
The Quest is a little less powerful because it's a standalone unit that doesn't require you to be plugged into a computer, whereas the Rift S uses your graphics card and processing power to give you better quality and more performance. But like Rado says, in 5 years, the Quest will be able to outperform the PCs that you're connecting it to, so they won't need it anymore.
What do you mean, like the Quest 3? I mean, the Quest itself is not capable of being upgraded with hardware, right?
No, probably not. But the next iteration of the Quest will probably take it one step more, and then in 2 more versions of the Quest, it'll probably be as strong as the PCs we're using now. So as long as the PC architecture doesn't get that far ahead of it, it'll end up being not needed to be connected ever. Although I like the connection, because I like the not having to worry about battery life and being able to play VR for 2 or 3 or 4 hours without ever worrying about having to charge up. Because a Quest's battery life is good. It's like 2 or 3 hours, but if you're like gaming, it's significantly less than just consuming media. So,
but I mean, if I'm just getting it as an IMAX on my couch solution, I imagine I can plug it into a wall, right?
Yeah, you can. They don't recommend you doing it
really?
while you're not using it, but the new cable that's coming out is built specifically for that. So if you wait until that new cable is available, then you can pretty much use it all day long, other than worrying about overheating issues, which I think they say after like 5 or 6 hours. I don't imagine if you're just watching a movie, you're going to be plugged in much longer consecutively than that.
Yeah. Quest get media on it.
Huh? Go ahead, download. It's all Wi-Fi. You connect it to your Wi-Fi.
So it has storage?
Yes, it does. You can get, I think it has
64 gigs or 128 gigs.
Yeah, there's two models.
Can you hook an external drive to it and just hang it drag?
The new cable is going to allow you to connect it to your PC, and you can store stuff there, and you can just transfer what you want active on.
And you can stream stuff off your PC if you have a home media library through Wi-Fi, but it also supports Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Yep. Yeah. So
I get
a smart TV in VR.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's a smart TV in VR that, in theory, gives you the impression that you are looking at a 30-foot.
I want to tell you that.
I've got a 120 here, and we like that a lot. But I'm always super precious about it because a projector bulb will last you a year if you use it at best, and they're expensive to replace.
Yeah. And
so I'm thinking, we're pretty much to the point where we watch very few movies. Jen is completely tuned out of movies. It's TV or nothing for her.
Hey, Rada, go into YouTube and type in big screen VR. And then the first thing that should pop up is a thing from BMF that's called Oculus Quest Watching Movies with Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that video.
No, I've seen that. Yeah, I've looked at several of them. I know the basics of how it works.
Yeah, it's very accurate, like what you see. I mean, obviously a lot of the.
I've watched a bunch of videos, a bunch of people reviewing, and nobody actually says the words. It tricks your brain into thinking you're looking at a 30-foot screen.
I don't think it does, personally.
That's my question. Because I know I'm not. But does the faux 3D, or it's real 3D because you're looking through two different lenses, and those are calibrated to give you a full field of view? Does it trick you, or do you still feel like, yeah, I'm just looking at two little tiny screens. They're really close to my eyes, and they just have a wider field of view than if I was just holding my camera up here.
But I think one of the coolest things about it for me was that is since you can you aren't limited by the TV, what you're watching. So there's literally settings you can have where you can be lying down in bed and just looking straight up.
Yeah.
And then it's just and you can so I mean I can get where that's the kind of neat aspect of it. But I've done it a few times, just goofing around with it and let my kids watch the How to Train Your Dragon and stuff. But I don't know. I'd rather watch TV because I like actually talking to the people that I'm watching.
Well, sure, yeah, and of course, obviously, it's not going to replace watching shows with my wife, but she goes to bed around 10 o'clock every night, and then I watch 3 hours of stuff by myself, and I could watch that on a 52-inch TV, or I could watch it on a 30-foot screen if the Quest delivered.
You can go to Best Buy and they have
the
demo.
That's what I need to do, I guess. Do they have them? I mean, because they've been sold out forever, right? I mean, do they actually?
Yeah, they still
models.
Well, I know our Best Buy has a setup, and on the weekends, the Oculus guy comes out there and he'll actually run demos of VR stuff. So
yeah, I guess
I don't know if they have
I can just buy one on Amazon, and if I don't like it, I can return it.
You absolutely can.
Which is
Richard.
insane.
Let me ask you this.
I will answer your question.
Are you like me though? Okay, everybody else has gone to bed, and I need to edit this video, or I got to work on answering these emails or whatever. And for me, the TV show is something that I can watch in the background while I get stuff done, and I actually really like that.
Yeah, that's not. I do find that I do a lot of work while I'm watching shows after Jen goes to bed. I'm doing games research or reading rule books or stuff like that, and that's the thing. My appreciation for movies that I used to love, I used to absolutely adore, just getting completely swept away. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen anymore because it's on a 50, I don't know what, we have a 52, 56-inch screen, and it's just taking up that little spot. And there's a laptop right here, and the siren song of looking something up or just checking my email or, whatever it might be.
So you want to recreate that being in the theater and not having access to
I wanted to force me to sit my ass in a chair in a theater without me having to go drive for 20 minutes to get to actual real one, and without having to pay $8 every time I want to do it.
You mean 18?
Yeah, well, 18, yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like Richard doesn't go on $5 Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I always go cheap.
I think you get what you're looking for out of that, but I don't know. I don't know that at its current like price point, if that is worth what you want for it, because it sounds like you would only be using it for a very small amount of what the actual Quest would offer for you.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, I'd be using it to watch a couple hours of movies, probably a movie a night when it boils right down to it. And the thing is, if I watched a movie a night with my Epson 6520 projector, or I forget whatever it is, my bulb would be dead in under a year, and I'd be paying another $120 to replace it. So an Oculus pays for itself in a few years. Is basically the way I'm
if that's the way you're looking at it, then yes. It seemed like, because there's so much more that it offers, I feel like you wouldn't get the best value for it.
You should demo it.
Yeah, I think demoing it's the right idea. Because even if they don't have the big screen app, they've got media on the.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure they'll have Netflix or just
or there'll be videos you can just watch, because even your
YouTube
Oculus Home environment lets you put a TV on the wall that's as big as you want. You can resize it, and you can watch it right in your Oculus Home environment without even having to go into the big screen app, because you can broadcast your desktop to it, and you can put a movie on your computer and then just broadcast it to the TV.
Yeah. There is a fatigue to wearing those things.
Yes, and I think a movie is about the right fatigue. When I play gaming with my buddy, the longest we've ever played is like 3.5, 4 hours. And I think at that point you get a little sweaty. You got this thing confined around your head. You want it somewhat tight so that you don't break that illusion, because if the mask shifts too much, you get that it breaks the immersion of what you're in. So I feel like for me, 2.5 to 3.5 hours is like the most I want to be in the VR, and then I have to get out for at least an hour or two before I go back in. There's some exceptions. We've had a couple of days where we'd sit in it for 5 or 6 hours, but we'd always usually take a 5 or 10 minute break somewhere along there just to get out, let it air out a little bit, defog it. But it's like the masks are getting more comfortable to the point where the next versions probably won't be as bad. And like the first Rift, I could only do for an hour or two. Now I can play for 3 or 4 hours, but before it gets uncomfortable. And I feel like as they get better technology and learn how people use these things, that they're going to just get to the point where it's going to be like nothing anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm skewed. I've been doing VR for like 5.5 years now. So
I know you're a super freak.
I'm a freak into it because I'm a tech guy. I love the new tech stuff, and this has been something that's been. It's not just for me either. Like my daughter uses it. Everyone but my wife. My wife gets motion sickness. She can't do it.
No, you definitely pricked my interest last year. What was it? October, November, when you were making your big pitch. And I know Lance went and got one for his kid.
Keith did too. Keith got one as well.
And Keith got one as well. I did not, because I was like, okay, I'm sure I would enjoy playing that Starfleet Bridge Simulator once, and that would be enough.
Like I said, it's really 50
Saber a couple of times, and okay, been there, done that. I've looked at a lot of top 10 videos of stuff you can play on a Quest, and all of those are like, yeah, I'm sure I would enjoy this for all of 10 minutes, and then I'd be done. I haven't seen anything that would draw me in.
Like the Rift has such a huge library, and Steam has sales all the time, that I literally I bought like 10 games over this last Steam sale. They were like $5 each. I spent like $50 what it would cost for one normal video game. I was able to get 10 VR games that probably gave me twice as much content as the one video game would have. Because VR games in general have a smaller content level compared to a normal AAA video game. You get 40, 50 plus hours in a normal video game. The VR games are like 4 or 5 hours a pop, but they're also a lot cheaper.
When I say it, I meant, this will probably hold my attention for 5 minutes. I didn't mean just that one particular game, but the entire genre it represents.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, like I say, for me, the helmet's like 60% games and 40% media, and I do love the media. I do there's plenty of like shark diving experiences where you can just go in a cage and you can swim around in the water with sharks. And there's no game. It's just swimming around an environment, or there's
and those are things that were real life recorded with 3D cam or 360
yes,
cam, right?
Like there's NBA experience where you sit courtside on a Lakers game and you just sit and watch a basketball game. There's outer space exploration where you can take a spacewalk, and there's no game. You just do it and you look around and just like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. That's actually a really interesting idea too, that I could see actually having a pretty strong future is, VR tourism.
Well, there's an app for
I would love to have
Google Earth has an app in VR that you can pretty much
or whatever.
You look at the globe from like as if you were God basically, and you spin the globe and you hit a spot and then you zoom in and you check out that area and you basically fly. Not like you don't see a person, you just see your face, but you're basically zooming around and you can go to locations. You just sit around and look through Google Earth. It's pretty cool. Like those applications are what I think makes VR unique. The games for me is where it really hits home, but man, there are so many apps where you just are experiencing things and there's no game. You're just sitting there and you're looking around and you're just like, wow,
I saw one video on YouTube I saw was, captured with the real 360 degree high speed snow skiing.
Yes. Yes.
I thought, okay, that intrigues me. I would definitely want to experience that because I'm never going to. I have skied in the past, but I'm never going to do it at the level that video is at.
You've got a skydiving one too, where you basically 360 camera on a skydiver, and you jump out of the plane and you can just look around at wherever while you're plummeting into, the earth. They've got hot air balloon ones where you're over the Grand Canyon and you can just look around in the Grand Canyon. There's a lot of cool stuff like that. I don't take advantage of that stuff as much. My daughter does, but I do it mostly for gaming. Like my Oculus and Steam library, I've got probably 80 VR games now. And the experiences are mostly free. Like that's the beauty of it, is most of the experience stuff, the apps, most of them are free. There's only a few paid ones. You can pretty much download at your heart's content different experiences of like sitting at a basketball game, or the NFL had one last year. We could watch a Cowboys game in VR from different spots in the stadium, and all the more and more stuff like that's coming out. Like the cool thing that they're doing with the movies now is big movie releases are now tying in. Spider-Man has a little experience. When this last Spider-Man movie came out, they did a little free VR experience you could download that lets you simulate web swinging through Manhattan. And more of the big movie franchises are coming out with VR. Jurassic Park did one. So they're all coming out with stuff now.
Oh, we lost Richard.
And we lost him. Yeah, Aldi will be right back too.
Here, and Oops. Richard's back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was going to do a search for what the screen resolution is, and I did a search for it in the actual live tab, like an idiot.
Yeah, Keith already posted the chat, the screen resolution. That's for that's for the Rift S,
which is higher resolution. I mean, what is the Quest resolution as well?
I think the Quest is a little bit better. I think the Quest is 1400. I think Quest has a resolution of 1400 by. It's a little bit. The Quest resolution is slightly better than the Rift S. The Rift S obviously is more powerful because it uses your PC to. Hold on, I'll get you the Rift. The Quest resolution is.
So the Quest resolution is higher than the current top dog Rift.
Well, the Rift S was designed to be a more economical. The original Rift actually had a better resolution than the new Rift. But the new Rift is much more user-friendly because instead of having to set up sensors, you just plug in 2 cables to your computer and you're done. Because it uses a different tracking.
The Rift is 1080 by 1200 per eye, and the Quest is 1440 by 1600 per eye.
Correct. Yep.
Right, which would then, I would assume, translate into something. If I'm obviously I'm not using that entire 1600 verticality.
Correct.
So it's probably going to translate into a 720p movie.
Yeah, basically, maybe a little higher. Actually, I think the Quest, depending on the graphics card as well, can give you resolutions. It can upscale stuff, so it gives you a little bit better feel. Like the resolution looks a lot crisper. But yeah, the Quest has definitely got the higher resolution screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Like you said, you can do it on Amazon.
I'm sure I would dabble with games, and when a new interesting one comes out, yeah, that'd be fun. But I don't. That's not what draws me in. The media potential, virtual tourism. I cannot stress. If that takes off, I could definitely see getting 2 of these things, and Jen and I touring, all the places in the world that we'll never get to see in real life. That's just like a no-brainer. Somebody should be traveling everywhere in the world and just using really super high res.
They are.
And have a fucking channel and just put that up there. That's easy fucking
Hold
money.
on. I'm gonna look
considering
on
how popular the Quest is now.
I'm gonna look on the Oculus store real quick just to see what kind of apps, because I don't look at that stuff anymore. Most of my stuff I do is gaming now, so
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what.
Yeah, because this is the stuff for not gamers, for regular people. That, I mean, people would be able to. Oh, I could actually. I'm trying to think of not silly things. First thing I thought was the red light district in Amsterdam, which of course is not necessarily what people would probably would actually.
Blah.
But you,
I mean,
yeah. What have you thought of your Quest? I know what Pete thinks, but he's a diehard devotee.
My son is in love with it. I mean, I have to like basically, limit. It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you can get like 45 minutes like tonight, and there are times when he knows I'm working on something because the gaming PC is my laptop.
Yeah.
And so like, and it's one of those things where it's like he's like, oh, can I use the VR? And I'm like, well, I'm working, but maybe later tonight. And so he kind of knows. But on the weekends, like we set aside time for him to.
Did you get a Rift
go to town? No, I got an Oculus Rift S.
Oh, so you need the separate laptop? Okay.
Yeah,
I assumed you got the Quest.
No, just So but yeah, he loves it. I mean, he plays.
Is he a Minecraft kid?
Yeah, so he loves playing Minecraft in VR. He really
does. He feel like he's in the world?
He says so.
I mean, that's got to be pretty amazing for a kid who loves Minecraft to feel like they're really there.
Yeah, well, my daughter's played with Minecraft on my Rift S. She likes it, but my daughter actually prefers it regular just because it's easier to control than having to actually move around and do the stuff yourself.
Having to use laser pointers and
yeah.
What is with that standard motion they seem to have where you point at the ground and teleport to a spot? Why is that the standard? It seems like it's on. It
was the old standard, but most games now give you the option of teleport or locomotion. So you can change your settings. Yeah, and you can use it like an Xbox controller where your thumbsticks move you and turn you around.
Including that Star Wars one that you get for free if you get a Quest within the next.
Yeah. You can locomotion.
I have like another day to decide if I want to get this game for free.
Yeah. I've got that game and I use locomotion. I don't teleport. The only time you teleport is if it's like you're trying to jump across a ledge. It's easier to teleport, obviously, because you can just click a button. But you can set it up for both, where you use the sticks to move, but if you want to teleport, you click the stick to teleport.
And it's just standard strafe, left thumb, look around, right? No, of course, there's no look around. Your head is looking around.
Every game has different settings. Some games you can set it up for more complex movement. Some games you can just do simple move forward, backward, left, right, and then your head does everything else.
Okay. So the teleport is, you said it used to be the standard.
It used to be the standard before they figured out how to get locomotion into the game and work right, because locomotion generally will help make people also get more nauseous because you're moving but not moving.
Yes, of
course. So you went to a teleport
sense.
system. They went to a teleport system because the teleporting was less likely to make you nauseous because you're just jumping around. But more people clamored for the traditional video game movement system. So most games now offer both in options.
But they probably default to the teleport because they're trying to appeal to the widest audience. Yeah, correct. That makes perfect sense. That's a really good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a new big thing that's coming in the Quest line and with the Oculus Go and stuff too is concerts. Being able to view concerts, like paying pay-per-view basically to like see The Who and actually sit in. There's virtual concert things, a big thing. They have a whole music category now on the Quest store that's all just, some of it's free where you just get to listen to like a song from a concert, and then some of them you can pay to actually like pay $10 and you can go see Chicago play it in and stuff like that. So. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that happening now.
Okay.
Looks like Aldi's taking a break. He's got a headache.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I mean, he just disappeared.
It's all your pro VR talk.
There's a lot of free stuff though.
If you go to anti-VR, did I miss something earlier?
No.
Aldi's not. But yeah, there's a ton of free apps. YouTube, Netflix.
Sure.
Some games, but most Prime Videos on there now. National Geographic's VR. There's quite a few free things now, so you can do it cheaply. If you buy the system, you can pretty much get enough content free to.
Can you play World of Warcraft?
No, I have not seen anything for that yet.
Or whatever the the equivalent in terms if there are any popular MMOs anymore. I don't know.
You could go into big screen and
sure.
And
But
stream
I mean,
your
that
desktop.
wouldn't translate to your head motions.
No, you would just be watching yourself playing it on screen. Yeah, I don't think they've done I don't know if Blizzard would ever consider doing VR. Seems like a stretch because they're more mainstream than that, and VR is still very niche.
I mean, what diehard devotee of Azeroth wouldn't want to feel like they're in that place, feel like they're actually riding around on the Griffin?
I know they got Skyrim in VR and Fallout in VR. Both Bethesda's all in on the VR. They do VR ports of all their big games. Yeah,
pick a different company.
I don't
pick a different company as opposed to the greatest evil in the video game industry. So
yeah. So I don't know if Blizzard would ever pull that button. It would be cool. I know EVE Online now has a version of EVE that's in VR.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah,
okay.
There's a whole like a $29 game, and it's basically you're piloting the ship and you're doing all the stuff that you do in EVE.
Itself, it's an EVE offshoot game.
It's an EVE game specifically for VR, but it uses the same mechanics as the EVE Online game.
But you're not in the same contiguous universe?
I don't know. I didn't buy it. It was $30 and I didn't really care for EVE. So
$30?
Yeah,
$30. Fuck
yeah.
You, developers and wives and kids and dogs.
Well, I'm not going to drop 30 on a game that I know I don't really necessarily want to play, but it looked kind of cool, the fact that you could play online with hundreds of other people. I don't know if it was the same universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm definitely keen. The more I think about it for the media.
Well, if you can get it on Amazon and have a week or two to try it out.
I looked it up. You have 30 days to return it. No questions asked. So why not?
Hey, at that point, get yourself a Quest, download all the free shit, play it for a while, really work itself out, and you'll know at that point if it's worth returning or getting a second one for Jen.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, we'll never go to the Taj Mahal, or unlikely we will. But if somebody's made a really cool VR tour of it,
actually, one of the new VR apps that just came out in January is the VR Wonders. It's all the wonders of the world in VR. You can tour them all. It's free. It just came out literally 2 weeks ago. So it's called VR Wonders, and you basically just tour all the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. And I'm sure there are some movies that have probably been filmed fully in 3D as well. Oh, they're probably all crap.
I've not heard of anything big. I know that they've done, like I said, when some of the big movies have come out, they'll do VR apps for it. Like when Jurassic Park, the last Jurassic World came out, they did an app called Blue, which is you walking around in VR in the Jurassic World setting, following this little story about Blue that was specifically for that. Star Wars did one. They've got Droid. They've got a couple of free Star Wars apps that basically put you on Jakku that you can goof off and do some stuff there.
Any Harry Potter ones?
No, I haven't seen Harry Potter stuff. Marvel's done some stuff. Disney's doing a lot of stuff.
There is no VR tour of Hogwarts.
Not that I've known, but I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
They built the whole freaking thing.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I don't know. I haven't looked for one, but it's possible it could be there.
And I'd love a full VR tour of the Enterprise, A, B, C, and Bloody D.
Star Trek Bridge Commander gives you a pretty good
tour. That's
you get the whole bridge. I mean, that's pretty good. No, there's I'm sure, like I said, this is still the early days of VR, so I'm sure a lot more will happen in the next 5 to 10 years than has happened in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's slowly getting pushed into a more mainstream, I think.
Well, no, I mean, the Quest was such a monster hit. I mean, it was the Christmas gift this year, last year. I mean, it was sold out everywhere. You warned us all, and I didn't listen. And so they'll be back in stock in Amazon, I believe, on February 8th.
Yep.
So after, I mean, that the Quest itself is a game changer.
Yeah.
As you well know. Do you have a Quest, or have you bothered?
I've got it sitting right there. I've got both. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because there's 4 people in my family.
To play with your kid, right? Of course.
My daughter can hop on there, and there's a few games we can play together. Even though the Quest is it doesn't play all the same stuff as the Rift. There's enough games that are cross-platform that we can play together.
Yeah.
Plus, I originally bought it for I can take it with me when I travel. So if I want to sit and chill in my hotel room and watch movies,
do you take it with you when you travel?
I've taken it once, but the scary thing with the Quest is that while it's mobile, it still has the same issues that all VR things suffer from, is that direct sunlight can burn the lenses. So
really?
I'm very afraid to take a $500 piece of equipment out with me because if it gets damaged.
The lenses, meaning the glass lenses that focus the stuff into your eyes, specifically.
Yep, they are direct sunlight can damage them permanently. So I keep mine indoors. People take them outside, but you have to be very careful. You have to keep it on or keep it in its case.
Well, I know that is one of the cool features of the Quest that I saw in some other video as well, that you can push a button and see the world around you.
Oh, yeah. Rift does it too. Pass-through is what they call it. You double
what is that? Is there a camera on the outside of the Quest that is piping in what you would see?
That's how it tracks. The controllers have sensors, and the cameras all around the outside are what track your motion.
Right.
And if you click a button, those cameras can flip to actually project.
And it's not like high res because they're low res cameras. They're just for
black and white. And it's pixelated, but you can.
But it's to make sure you can. Oh, I got to get up and go answer the door.
Grab a drink or take a pee or
thing on my face. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, technically, you could set your Guardian up to map your entire house out so that you can walk around and it'll show you, even when you're in VR and not pass-through, if you're walking close to a wall, a little red line will come up showing you that you're getting close to an object. Like you map out your play area.
It's like a polygonal version of my wall or my sofa?
Yep.
I assume it just represents them as blocks, kind of.
When you do the Guardian, you basically look through pass-through so you can see everything, and you draw a line on your room. And then it builds a wall so that if you get near the wall, this big red wall will flash showing that you're close to where you mapped out a wall. So you basically could just walk around your basement with the Guardian system and map out all your walls, chairs, tables. And if you walk close to it, it'll pop up a little red barrier saying, stop, you're about to hit something.
Yeah.
So it's pretty smart. Like
they haven't made a guided tour of Rivendell yet. They're insane.
No Lord of the Rings stuff yet.
If such a thing existed, my wife would say, "Yeah, get me one too."
Oh, if they do a good Lord of the Rings game in VR, I'm all
again. I'm not talking about a game. I'm just talking about, hey, you built all the sets. You still have them there. Hobbiton exists right now in New Zealand. I don't know if I'll ever get there in my lifetime, but people with freaking 360-degree cameras do.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be real cool. I know they've got a few Star Wars ones in VR, but
somebody hasn't done it yet. That's just a YouTube channel waiting to be successful. Be the first successful world traveler YouTube VR. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you really enjoyed this, head over to my Patreon page.
It would be cool. I guarantee that would be something that would be worth diving into.
Because I embrace the WALL-E future.
Well, it's not that far away, I don't think.
Yep. The WALL-E future.
Yeah.
You remember they learned a hard lesson in WALL-E.
If you fast forward to 20 years after the end of WALL-E, it's the end of humanity. Hey, everything was great. We have all our needs met. And we would be healthy in that future because science would have actually resolved the fact that, hey, maybe we just shouldn't stuff ourselves with sugar all the time so we're not so bloated and overweight. But yeah, hey, let's lose all our stuff and try to plant a single little flower and read. No, that's not going to work. That was the dystopia happened after the movie, after the credits rolled in that movie.
You're kind of a glasses half full futurist, aren't you?
Well, I am intrigued. And if you had pushed the media narrative more, I might have picked one up last year. But it was only recently that I started thinking about it, that could be really cool. So I'll probably get one on Amazon when they come up.
I hope you enjoy it. I mean, like you said, you got 30 days. You'll know in the first week if it's something that's for you or not. And at that point, you'll know whether it's worth keeping or getting rid of, or worth getting a second one for you and Jen to do stuff. But I think in the beginning, it's going to be mostly solo stuff because, like I said, the type of things you're talking about, I don't know if they fully exist the way you want them to be yet. But I see them coming.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's coming.
You are making me think I need to go back into the video game development industry. I want a virtual tour device, a virtual tour that Jen and I can go through the Taj Mahal. You know, it was filmed with some actual knowledgeable person who's walking us through everything, and it's hyperlinked so we can click on stuff and get more information in little pop-up windows if we want. But we can see each other and talk to each other, and and all that. That is such a killer app. That will encourage people to buy multiples of these so they can share the experience of touring these places.
And they don't even have stuff that good yet, but I bought like I said, I bought the Quest for my family to use so that we could do stuff together and that. And while we haven't had that kind of experience yet, the experiences we have done together have been pretty cool. Me and my daughter did a diner virtual simulator where she was a cook and I was the waiter, and she'd make food and hand it to me and I'd deliver it to people. It's fun little stupid things like that me and the kids can do, but to find some of this other stuff would be awesome. Yeah,
you had mentioned before, it's interesting the idea that, okay, if you only have one of these things, somebody's in VR, but other players have some 2D interface, and
Yep, we have a couple games like that.
The VR player stuff like that.
One person's on the keyboard watching the computer screen, the other one's in the helmet doing the other stuff. We play a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, and I assume what's it called? The keep talking or everybody explodes.
That's one of those as well. Yep, one person's.
We enjoyed that for a couple of evenings when we.
Yeah. That one's really cool in VR too. To be the person in the helmet, that one's really stressful. It's super stressful.
Yeah.
What I'm really waiting for is for the escape room apps to start really kicking, where you're in a virtual escape room and you're doing puzzles and stuff. And there's a few out there, and there's not as many as I think there will be in the next couple of years. But I'm waiting for that stuff, and I'm waiting for Asmodee to do that because they've already got Katana in VR, and it's really, real well done. So I imagine that their Unlock series or whatever the games that a lot of those games are perfect ports to VR if they did decide to do it. So
I mean, that's what they're already doing. Which one was it? It's Chronicles of Crime does that?
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point of Chronicles of Crime.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And let's face it, they've already. There's already Tabletop Simulator. So, and me and my friend have played a couple games in that already, which is really well done. So if you're, which is more of a game still, but it's
we have mined this topic.
Pretty far.
Would you like to talk about professional wrestling, Lance?
Make Lance feel better.
No, you're fine. No. Not that any of you care. Well, Rumble was actually pretty well done. It's like
I was being sarcastic. I don't want to.
Oh, really? Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that is. What about the Super Bowl?
Meh.
Yeah, that's right.
My buddy will have his party, and that's kind of fun to go to. But I don't really. It's like I don't care about either team really. It's just kind of like.
Yeah, I don't either. It's kind of just hope for a good game, something exciting to watch.
There isn't a team that I hate. That I would root against, and there isn't a team that I'm super excited about that that I really want to win either. Either team winning wouldn't matter. They've both beaten the Vikings enough that so I don't really have any hatred towards either of them or equal hatred and my buddy has a big group, and we there's a bunch of people there. We end up playing poker. We pick the spots on the point board,
the boxes, squares,
the boxes and stuff. Yeah.
That's something we should do, Lance. Is we should play poker.
I'll say this.
Poker in VR.
I have this 4-month-old husky puppy that is awesome. I've never owned a thick coated dog. Basically, he goes out. It's probably 0 degrees outside, and he saw the other dogs were going out to go to the bathroom, and I watched him go out, and he just sat in the snow, and he didn't have to go. He just sat there and watched them. They came back in as soon as they were done with the business. He just sat outside in the snow for 20 minutes, just this is nice. Poker players is
no, it's real people. It's all real people. Poker VR is a free app on Oculus. It's against real people.
Well,
me and my buddy have it.
Okay, well, I'll say this about playing poker when real money isn't on the line isn't poker. Because nobody cares. It's just yeah, fine, all in. Whatever. You have to get there's one card in the deck. Yeah, fine, all in. Oh, I lost all my money. Okay, I'll reset up and play again. It's just because people don't take it seriously.
Yeah, that is true.
It's one thing. You have to have something on the line, something that either you want to win or that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, we don't play in the real money. There is real money rooms you can get in that app. You have to purchase your own credits and stuff, but we don't do that. We just play the free version where you just play with 5,000 house money and you see how much you can win. Or when you bankrupt out, you're done, and then you restart again with 5,000 and do it. But they actually have lobbies that are just for people that have paid into the game and bought credits. So it's real money, but it's not because you don't cash it out. You play to have the experience of playing.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, it's just, and also the problem like playing against a computer is like the AI is never like accurate enough.
Right. Like I said, this is an AI. It's a multiplayer game. There is no computer. It's all people. You have a computer dealer. That's it.
Let me think. Did I play any games recently? I'm finishing editing up a video for a game called Hunes that I saw at Gen Con like 2 years ago. This game is like over the top crazy miniatures, but it isn't a miniatures combat game so much as it is like it's like you have these miniatures, these Hunes that actually, but every single one of the miniatures is like when you pick up a resource, you actually slot the resource into a spot on the miniature. And when you buy upgrades to your miniatures, there's actually spots on the miniature where you put the weapons that you buy in there, or the the climbing claws or whatever. And it's over the top crazy cool. But God, but it was like a 58-page rule book, and
ugh.
And that video took me forever to film. Richard, what do you when you get a thing and do you ever just say because I know I've done this where I'm okay, I'll do this, and if you don't get an actual physical rule book, I hate not having a physical rule book. I mean, it's fine, I can read it and it'll be okay, but I mean, there's something so much easier about, I can't remember that rule when I'm doing this video. Quick, grab the rule book, find the rule.
That's my biggest pet peeve with video games these days is they don't include physical rule books in them anymore, even when you buy the physical copy. It's all online now. I hate that. I love rule books.
There's no point because that digital rule book can be altered and changed if there's mistakes and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. The problem I find with board game rule books is that people keep putting them out as PDFs, trying to recreate the exact layout. And PDFs are terrible. As opposed to, I don't think I'd have a problem with board game rule. I don't think I'd have a problem with a board game that came with no rules in the box if the rules were on their website and it was, optimized for proper screen viewing, resizes automatically, has hyperlinks to things,
friendly mobile too,
and really took advantage of it. But publishers never do that. They just say, "Oh, here's the PDF," and that's atrocious. That it is the worst thing to try to do on a laptop is read a multi-column PDF.
Yeah,
that's the worst. So yeah, I hate that. There are plenty of times when screw it, I'll just print out the 10 pages I need to print out so I can physically look at these things. But I think one made from scratch to take advantage of a screen could be good.
I don't know. There's something about me that just likes the physical rule book in my hand to look rules up. I'm not a big fan of living rule books. I think they're helpful, especially in miniatures games or games that have a long lifespan. But for a game that's a self-contained game in a box, that the rules is the rules. And
well, forget that. I don't think there's a single board game that came out in the last year that wouldn't have benefited from a living rule book approach, because
probably
sooner or later they all screw up. They all either have overt mistakes, or they have things that are put really poorly that makes it hard to read. And after they get it in front of several hundred people and several people complain, they could update it.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
That's the benefit of the future. And soon we'll be able to read them in VR. And it'll be like looking at a physical one.
I just like having a physical rule book in my hand. I like flipping through pages.
People like having the actual solid disc instead of downloading the.
I still do. I still have a bunch of my old PC games that are solid disc. I've got my Sid Meier's Pirates. I will never get rid of that game. Even if I've got it unlocked in Steam. I like physical discs. I've realized now, though, with the amount of media I want to consume, it's not feasible to own physical discs for everything, which is why music was the first thing I cut. I no longer own any music. It's all Spotify or iTunes or whatever.
But your discs.
I'll say this. I have turned the corner on purchasing physical copies of video games. I don't do it anymore. I don't go buy a disc.
I still do.
I just there's no reason to do it. The 2 or 3 games that I still want to play every once in a while, that it'll say it was so annoying to me for me to like track down when my son was like, I want to play Minecraft. I was like, well, I got to track down this Minecraft DVD for the PlayStation. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to pay him $20 and download it. I was just like, because he never put it away in the right place, right? It would always be like, and I think I waited. It was on sale one weekend, for $10.
And it'll get scratched eventually anyway.
Yeah, and I was just like, screw it, there, fine, done. Now, anytime he clicks on it, it just loads up and he can play it. He doesn't have to. We don't have to find the disc. We don't have to worry about it. And the thing is that I mean, I think we're coming on an era where we won't. Actual physical media just won't exist anymore.
Totally.
I mean, it'll be. I mean, I'm totally stunned that the PS5 actually, the new age things actually even have a drive.
The new Xbox doesn't have a disc drive.
Yeah,
really?
I mean,
yeah, there's no disc drive. It's all download only.
Well, good on.
Which is why GameStop is going out of business.
Well, yeah, I mean. GameStop, what they closed.
GameStop is trying to get into the board game.
They lost their ass last quarter again for like the 8th consecutive quarter. They were like 200 million under their projected budget. The holiday season was not kind to them.
Yeah, I bet.
There was a huge report on ICV2 about that. The GameStop was like they were like 26 million under projection, which was under what they did last year by like another 30 million. It's like every quarter they're just losing money hand over fist. And the only thing that they've raised is been their board game section and their game section. It's gone up, and the video games have gone.
I know.
Up.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, GameStop could be the cornerstone of a cardboard.
It could be the biggest board game franchise company in the world.
All they got to do is convince all these kids, hey, you want to get some cardboard in your life.
I think honestly,
all you gotta do. Not easy, but
well, two things. I just reacting. Maui Chris said, root for the 49ers. We smashed the Packers for you. That's true. And the 49ers beat us. So I want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl so I can just say, well, they were the team of destiny. So, you always want to get beat by the champion. You don't want to get beat by the person because then you're always going to be like, oh, if we would have played better against that team, if only we had, so you can, and then Kooky Kid said that video games nowadays go with the model of having tutorial levels. So basically they teach you the game as you get into it. Like they slowly, which I think is really, and a lot of them do it very seamlessly. I mean, like,
that's true. I still miss those old video game rule books that would have the map on it, the last couple pages, the fold out map that you could, I mean, that stuff, I kind of miss the nostalgia of that kind of stuff, but you're right. There hasn't been a video game I've bought in the last 2 or 3 years that didn't pretty much walk you through the whole game, or at least the basics up front, and let you figure the rest out on your own.
The games I play now, honestly, the video games I play now are games where I can play them at a total leisure pace and like just slowly, and I ping pong back and forth. Like, it's like, it's like, for example, I still haven't beat Red Dead 2. It's just like, I I'll get a wild hair up my butt and I'll play that for a week. And then I'll be like, and then I'll get bored of it again. And then I'll step away from it and then I'll come back, it's one of those things where there's stuff like that where I don't do the giant dive in, like I used to, where I just like would consume it. But basically I don't have time, that's the other big thing too. And it's like, everybody else in the house has gone to bed. I can play a video game. It's like, or I could just go to bed right now and not drag ass all day. Because I know once I get started playing one of the video games that I like, I'd be like, 2.5 hours just went by, and now that's 2.5 hours of sleep I just didn't get, and I'm fairly grumpy with myself the next day. Like, I did it again, idiot. Just like you just, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, if you playing video games like that is it is weird. It's like we are like the generation that played video games all night long. Like, we were the ones that played our Sega Genesis, and played Madden, until the wee hours in the morning, or
Populous or Bodokin, or
you had your friends over and like you played. I mean, I remember I have like 2 or 3 friends over and we'd play like the old Tekken fighting games. Like, all of us, like basically like, King of the Hill style, where one person, as long as that person kept winning, they get to keep playing, but then like you tag in the other people and try to like, defeat him and stuff like that. So it's like, you just have like, we play that until 3-4 in the morning, just over and over and over again. I remember when Street Fighter 2 came out for the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and we played that one over and over and over again. Just never stopped playing. We just like, so we're part of that generation that did that, and now we're old, and like, it's just kind of like we're like we're those old crusty gamers that like, and then now these young kids and playing the games they do. It's just like, they don't have mortgages or children. I can't even imagine the sheer amount of video game options, like being like a 14-year-old kid nowadays, like in comparison to what it was for me.
14, try 9. My daughter plays more games now at her age than I did when I was like 17. I mean, there's just between her iPad and all the different app games that are available to her, but and then she plays on my Switch. She's got the Oculus Quest. She's got my my Xbox to play like The Sims and stuff. I mean, she literally is playing games that be 10 times the amount of games that I was probably playing at her age back when I was a kid.
The dust collects on my son's Switch just because he has so many games he'll play apps on, or now VR. Occasionally he'll come out and play a PlayStation game. But I mean, yeah, it's just like, I'd say 80% of his video game playing is right on his iPad. Just all the different games that he has. Frickin' Roblox. He just plays Roblox.
My daughter plays Roblox. She plays Roblox all the time.
And I'm just like, what is this? Because people make these levels or stuff, and he's just playing them. I'm like, what is this one? He's like, oh, this is one where you go over here and you're
making a McDonald's.
Or he's like this, or the one he's playing now is like, and I'm surprised you probably know about it. It's a Roblox like Jaws game where one person is the shark
hunt. Yep, I play that with my daughter all the time. We randomly the longer you're in the game, the higher your percentage is to become the shark, and one person shark, and they swim around trying to eat all the people, and everyone else is on jet skis and boats trying to shoot the shark or get away from the shark, and you have like 300 seconds to survive. It's a great game. Me and my daughter play that all the time. She's she showed me that game was one of the first games she asked me to play Roblox with, and as soon as she showed me that, I downloaded and made an account, and I started playing with her. So yeah, I've got a Roblox account. I play with her like once or twice a week. We get together and play for like an hour or two.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm just like, that's like kind of thing too. I mean, for me, playing video games is turn my brain off times. If like I play a game and like, you need to figure out how to be in this special spot at this special time so you can do this special thing. I don't want to have to go to a wiki to figure out this problem. Just let me just play something that I can just do something mind numbing for an hour, and then just to kind of unwind and not think about like the update I have to write or the 7,000 emails that I have to respond to. I mean, that's kind of like the what is the line for this? The shitting or whatever. It's like, don't bother Willie between 7 and 8. That's Willie's time. It's like, just that's like totally one of those things where I can't even imagine. I mean, I tell my son, it's like, enjoy this while you can, because soon school will have homework and then you'll have to do that. And his sister, my daughter, she'll play video games, but she is not like, I thought she'd get more into it, but she'll occasionally play like some of the first person shooter stuff. She got into it for a little while, but then I don't know, she's a Luddite. She'd rather play D&D or read. That's like what she'd rather do. So, which I can appreciate a great deal. It's one of those things where like people always say, we've talked about this before, but like working in the board game industry or whatever, it's like people's like, oh, it must be great, you must play games all the time. It's like, oh no, you don't actually. Or the times when you do play games, you can't actually just sit down and enjoy the game. It's like, yeah, I've lamented this on many occasions. I miss the joy of like sitting down and just playing a game and just playing the game to play the game.
Yep.
It just so rarely happens. That's why I go to Con of the North here in February, which is like the little it's 3 hours away. It's in Minneapolis, and it's just like, but I get to just sit there and like usually other people know the rules, so they can, if it's a game I haven't played, they can just teach me, and I don't have to read anything. I just tell me how I play this game, and then I learn it. Or it's games that I've played many times over, like Caverna or Grand Austria Hotel or things like that, where I just know the rules, and you can just enjoy people's company and have fun playing the games. Those are yeah, man, I miss that. And it's that's the crazy thing, is that I think of, and then you think of the thousands of board games that come out now every year, like how exponentially it has increased, and like, and people, and I can't imagine now if I was getting into the board game industry now, like just like not being part of like working for it, but just like oh wow, like I went over to buddy's house and they sprang, insert recent, like, oh hey, there's this game Azul, and you sat down and you played it the first time, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. And then you did the deep dive into the board game world, like how many more board games there are, just having to digest everything that's out there. I can't even imagine.
Well, we have to digest everything that's out there because it's our job. I imagine, I can't prove this because of my current circumstances, but I imagine I would be happy just getting one new game a month.
I would be happy with that. I could manage that.
That's it. Hey, one new game a month, and we played it 5 or 6 times. That's fantastic, and then it'll go on the shelf because another one's coming in. I mean, I could totally see being completely satisfied with that, and it's only be a question of picking which 10, which would admittedly be tough, but it's not like there aren't 1.5 million people, falling all over themselves to tell you what the games are like these days.
Is it not feasible to try that model as a business? Or is it not sustainable? You have to have more content than one game a month to do a real good deep dive and do really quality videos of?
Rodney and British guy, Shut Up and Sit Down. They do one video a month or a week, so they do 4 games a month.
That's reasonable, and a week's worth of.
So lovely to me, seeing as I do about 2 a month.
The problem is you got to get the hits on the one game, the 4 games a month, in order to make it equal the 20 games that you're doing now.
Well, I would say this, like the amount of work or whatever that go into what they do.
Oh, I don't mean to downplay that. They do just as much work on that one video that I do on 5. Definitely.
And that's why, in my opinion, why they probably do get the hits on that is because of the level of effort and production that they do.
Oh yeah, totally.
I would argue.
Yep, and deservedly so. I mean, I don't do it, but I know full well how much work that is. Or no pun included. That level of quality, of course, it draws more hits. Yeah, I'm just always bending over backwards trying to make it easier for me.
Well, I always remember like if you see people that like. I've seen channels, and I'm not going to mention them, but I mean, you see channels who put a lot of time and effort into the production quality, and they're not getting, like, in my opinion, the adequate level of response that they should be getting. And I always I'm like, oh, that feels so bad for you.
Gaming Rules would be an example. Or Nights Around the Table is another one that just produces really stellar stuff. But, they get a couple hundred instead of a couple thousand, or, wow, 20 or 30,000 like they should. Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. And that's the other thing too. Like I people like talk about like board game media and stuff like that. And I was just like, I've had people like oh, how do you get started? I was like, well, for starters, I wouldn't do it on board games. If you want to really if you want to actually have a YouTube career,
do video games.
Video games.
Or any kind of pop culture. Movies, video games, TV, Star Trek.
Isn't it such a large pond now that it's harder to break into because there's so many people doing it?
If you can, I personally believe that if you can make a quality little 5-minute video that like talks about why the new Madden is cool, and you can just you have a good voiceover and you're clever. I'll say this, like take like like the cleverness of like your favorite, like a no pun included kind of thing or something like that. Take their cleverness and apply it to a video game genre. I mean, like they would have, 10 times the hits, 10 times the subscribers.
Yeah, totally.
And so then what I always wonder about is like, and this is, because I mean, I have always said I'm super lazy when it comes to my channel, and I'll never change. But my big thing is that it's like those people obviously have the get up and go. They obviously have the inertia behind them, and it must just be because they're super passionate about the tabletop industry. I mean, because I can't even imagine having that much like desire and that much like I want to make this into something, and like, just slightly skew your target from analog to digital, and just make a crushingly good video game video every week. I mean, my daughter watches like these people that like basically like you feel that play like basically like freak out videos where the guy obviously manufactures his anger towards the game. But and I've listened to them, they're funny, just the guy like just freaking out because he's losing at Nintendo tennis or whatever. But those guys punch out a video every day of the same stuff, of them just basically recording themselves playing whatever video game and like freaking out because they can't because the computer cheats them out of their win or whatever. And each one, it other than basically recording it themselves playing it and making sure that they and then basically going in and probably editing out the boring parts and just making sure they focus on the things that really bother. 200,000 hits in every single one. They've got 750,000 subscribers. And just sponsorships up the yang. Yeah. I mean, if I had to get up and go, I would not do tabletop videos. I mean, it's just because there just doesn't have. I mean, you by going to video games, you just immediately increase your audience by 1,000%. I mean, with all of the people that are just like, oh, I really want to know if insert new game that came out this week, if that's any good. It's just it's huge, and I don't know. What does the old dog want? Hey, puppy, what's going on? Hey, Dan Hopper there. What game are you the most proud that Nintendo did when you were there? You got a question in the chat.
Post it. Can't you put the question up?
Yes, I can, but there you go. From Dan Hopper. Nice guy, too. Super nice dude. Rado, what game are you most proud of that Nintendo did when you were there?
Well, I should say the ones I had a tiny hand in, but unfortunately that was like Super NES football.
Hey, I liked Super NES football. I enjoyed that game.
Remember the diagonal?
Yeah, I liked that game.
It's so weird. I mean, because why would I be proud just because I worked there at the time? I certainly played a shit ton of Capcom's Street Fighter 2. Man, we played that religiously at lunch every day, and it was a pain because everybody knew I was the Chun-Li guy, and so nobody else would play her, so everybody wanted to fight me. And but we had to do it every lunch in the smokers lounge because that's where all the cool kids hung out. And so I came home stinking every day because of it.
I had a buddy who was a Chun-Li player too.
Oh yeah,
and it was like, and I was a Guile guy. That was just like I just gravitated towards him.
I liked Guile.
But Guile, I remember I figured out a few things with Guile, but man, ultimately he was not his
charge moves are, you really have to. I mean,
his charge moves were tough.
Instant dragon punches whenever you want. Just spamming Ken, Ryu.
Yeah. Ken and Ryu were definitely like just they were the ones
Haruken, Shoryuken, Shoryuken. Jeez, is this all you're gonna do? Do you know only 2 moves?
Yeah.
Well, yes, because I don't need to know more than that because I literally create a wall of death.
Yeah,
and you have to maneuver around it.
Yeah. I can throw like multiple fireballs, and your sonic boom thing it
Every
isn't
2
as
seconds,
easy.
you throw sonic boom. Yeah.
Sonic boom. Sonic boom.
Well, hey, at least you had sonic boom, and the flash kick. Chun-Li had nothing. She had nothing except standing there like a chump, kicking her legs around or doing the timing to be able to pull that off, because that was another charge move, and you had to lay it off just when the fireball was coming through, because you had no collision for like 3 frames. That was tough. Or jumping off the back wall to be able to jump higher than any dragon punch, including the top one. Those are the skills I had to master, and I felt so superior because I had to bring my A game to be able to just deal with the spammers.
I knew a guy that was a Zangief master. I mean,
Zangief, a really good Zangief player, is a sight to behold. Because again, you have that for a brief second when you do the spinning tornado thing for like 3 frames, you can't be hit. And so you just have to time it right. When somebody's spamming, you just go fly right through their stuff and take them down.
He was able to basically do I would see him do it, and he would leap in and do the big missile drop kick move that he had that you had to block. But in the time that it took him that you blocked it and he landed, he had already rotated his joystick and hit the 3 buttons for the spinning Johnson, like the spinning backbreaker, the big giant move where the spinning pile driver, and just land and drop him down. So like if he could get close, you'd had a choice of basically, do I take the 2 boots to the head, and then if he took that damage, then he'd reach forward and he'd do the big throw, because he had the super long reach for all of his throws. And if you block,
I have your head now.
And if you blocked his double foot kick, he could almost always get the spinning pile driver off, and there's a third of your health bar gone. Just
Yep, my signature Chun-Li was bouncing over whatever flash kick but you have to come down so that you're kind of landing just like at the lower edge of them, so you can start doing the drop kick, because if you time it right, you can actually drop kick right up the side of somebody, get 4 or 5 hits, and then while you're coming down from that, you're charging while you're in the air, so that as soon as you land, you do the 365 spinning. That was, oh man, oh, that's so, oh boy, I'm just reliving that now. That felt so good.
Guile, and the fact that like both Ken and Rue were basically, you couldn't hit them when they were in the dragon punch. It was like, oh yeah, it's just like basically if you even got near them, you got hit by it. Yeah. I do remember reading something. It was like, who's cooler, Rue or Ken? And they said, well, Ryu, because the wind only blows for him. Because he was the only one who would stand on each turn, and the wind would blow his hair. I always like Ken because he had the his uppercut set him on fire. That was so I like that. And his kick throw was like he rolled with them a long time before he finally threw him. Whereas like Ryu would just grab him and it'd be like just like grab throw, but with Ken he'd roll on the ground for a long time before he'd throw them off. I thought that was like, I don't know. The one thing that Guile had was that if you actually jumped at the same time, his mid-air throws were better than anybody else's. He had that one where he grabbed him and do the backbreaker.
Yeah.
That
was good times. So I guess there you go, Dan Hopper. I had nothing to do with it. It was Capcom's, but man, we played the hell out of that.
We used to call it the Spinning Johnson because it was a Simpson reference, because we watched a lot of Simpsons back then. That was the one where Homer was when Magic Johnson was on the one episode of the Simpsons where he said what was it? He's like, Homer, I just called the last time out just so I could call you and tell you that I think you did an amazing job. When he pushed the button randomly to save the town from the nuclear power plant explosion, and it was just like, and then it says something like, Magic, if you go out there on this ankle, you might ruin your career. I don't care. It's like, just like that was so. But Homer said Magic Johnson, so we just always called it, like, instead of the spinning powder, we called it the Spinning Johnson. Spinning Johnson. If you actually pulled it off. Ah man, Street Fighter 2 memories. And I remember I didn't like Street Fighter 2 Championship. Because like
the CE when they sped everything up by 50%.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I like the classic Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And there's so many different versions of it now. I mean, I've watched some of those like the real tournament champions of the people like that are like going head to head and like everybody's watching them and stuff like that. I mean, oh man, those people are just
they're superhuman. They have superhuman computer brains that
memorize combos
world at 5x speed, so it's all moving in slow motion to them. I mean,
it's like the competitive Mortal Kombat people.
Have to be so beyond the pale.
Fighting game players that can memorize combos like that are on a whole different level. Like the professional Mortal Kombat guys can do the fatalities on like every character, and they're like all multi-press different combos.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That stuff amazes me. I can't even remember the one guy that I try to play, and these guys are doing this.
So Tekken 2.
Tekken 2, yeah.
Tekken 2 was a good game. I was a Soul Calibur guy.
Go lie down really flat on the ground and then kind of crab walk around.
Oh yeah, Voldo, I think it was his.
That was Soul Calibur. No,
yeah, I'm a Soul Calibur person.
Soul Calibur, the Voldo or whatever. He was a total button masher. Like anything you hit, it did something crazy, and the players couldn't like figure out what you're doing. Tekken 2. I remember I was able to. There was the one professional wrestler, King, the guy with the tiger mask on, and he had the 4-step like throw where basically he'd grab you, throw you, pick you up, throw you, pick you up, throw you again, then finally like the big swing and then throw you. You could like do an entire if they didn't counter it, you could do their entire bar like done. I liked him. And then there was the Taekwondo guy called Baek Do-san who had the big kick where he would kick people straight into the air, and as they came down, he'd like kick them straight into the ground and stuff.
The main thing I remember about Tekken is we played a lot of it when I was working on Siphon Filter, and there was one guy, he memorized all the 10 hit strings, and he was super frustrated by me because I never played the game enough to memorize any hit strings, but I could memorize how to block them. Back, down, back, because you had to mix it up halfway through. So, I mean, he was always so frustrated with me because he could never land a glove on me. And then after he was done, okay, I'll just do a spin kick or something. And, oh man. But you know what? Hey, I'm looking, Jen and my mom are done with Manifest. So my time here is done.
What's Manifest?
Manifest is a network television show about a bunch of people who, were on an international flight, and the flight disappeared, and everybody thought they were dead. But then the flight landed 5 years later, and now nobody knows what's going on.
Ooh,
it's the new Lost, basically.
It's the new Lost, basically.
It's not very good.
Hey, I'll let you go, Rado, but you inspire me. Is Lost even on streaming anything right now?
It must be. It's probably on Hulu, right? Because Hulu is ABC. Let's take a look at it.
I don't have Hulu anymore. I got rid of it because I didn't. I just didn't watch any of it enough.
Yep, Hulu. All 6 seasons are on Hulu for streaming right now.
I was thinking about the other day, like there was
the Disney Plus thing that comes with Hulu and ESPN. You get it all.
What? Oh, dude, yeah, there you go.
The new Disney Plus package comes with National Geographic, ESPN, and Hulu for $12.99. You get all of it.
There you go.
Well, I already have the $9.99.
Then upgrade.
What's $3 more?
Yeah, $3 more. You get Hulu and ESPN,
and you can watch all of Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but with
commercials on Hulu.
Yeah, is it with or without commercials?
Yeah.
Do you know, Pete?
I don't know that because I haven't watched any. I just watched the Disney Plus stuff. I didn't pay the extra couple bucks because I don't watch anything on Hulu or ESPN.
I will say this, and we can just wrap it up for the night if Richard's going to go, and it's getting late. And I still have to edit this video, but I'll say this: Disney Plus, for the amount of enjoyment that I got with both my kids, and we sat through and watched every episode of Gravity Falls. Which
I love that cartoon.
Gravity Falls. If you haven't watched it, it is that thing where the kids can enjoy it, and there's definitely stuff that's put in there for adults to catch and understand. So we watched all that, and my son and I are going through Rebels right now. that is well worth my $9.99 a month. Well, plus watching The Mandalorian, of course, was good too. But if you haven't watched Gravity Falls, that is a superb show.
Yeah, I haven't watched it all, but I've seen a handful of episodes, and I rather enjoyed it. I just don't know where I can watch it now, but I guess it's on Disney Plus.
And one of the things about that is they definitively ended it after 2 seasons. They knew exactly what they planned to do, and they did it, and they told the story, and it was fantastic. And it's something where they slowly but surely reveal the bigger story about the whole thing very, very slowly. Little tiny crumbs they drop as you progress through it, and it is super good. And like and I was super impressed with one of my daughter's friends, where my daughter and I were talking about, man, I wish they had another season of that. And she said, why? It was perfect. The way they ended it was perfect. If they had gone on any longer, it would have ruined it. And I was like, wow, you're 12 and you're already like saying,
I'm gonna have to watch that, because I've only seen like 6 episodes and I really enjoyed it, but I've not. And what got me wanting to watch that was Disney Infinity. Infinity had characters for Gravity Falls, and they had world for Gravity Falls, and I played that with my daughter. And then I went and looked and found a couple episodes and watched it, and I thought, I was like, this is a really good cartoon. And I never found the rest of them.
The world they live in, the Paradise Falls, is amazing, and it's got its own little mythology, and it's well worth it. I would suggest it to anybody, even if you don't have kids and you just want to watch something. You will really enjoy it. And what I'm really annoyed by, I'm just gonna say this and I'll let everybody go. Futurama is like not on streaming anywhere. I can't find it anywhere. Maybe it's on Hulu as well, for all I know.
Well, isn't it on Adult Swim still? Don't they still air episodes? So wouldn't it be on their website? Because usually if they air episodes, you can watch them from their website.
Futurama is on Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu. Of course it is.
Yep.
Because I was just remembering like classic old Futurama episodes.
I love Futurama too. That's the one cartoon my wife actually. I've gotten my wife to watch some of this stuff with me. That's one of the ones that I didn't think she'd like, and she ended up. I caught her watching it a few times without me. Like, she really enjoyed Futurama.
Yeah. And also, to Pete's point, the ESPN Hulu Disney bundle for $13 a month does have commercials on Hulu. However, there is a life hack. If you sign up for the full $12 a month Hulu as your first step, then, using the same email address, you sign up for a Disney Plus account, you'll be able to get a $6 a month credit that applies. So you end up paying the whatever it is, equivalent of $13 a month, but without ads. But you have to do this little secret trick. This was back in November, and it probably doesn't work anymore.
Ha!
But that's
somebody posted it online, and then they went back and
that's probably a good deal for you, Lance, considering that a couple series you just talked about are on Hulu. That $3 for $3.
I've got so much to watch. I mean, it's just it's one of those things where it's annoying, and it's just like whatever. Yeah. There's and also Kuki had just mentioned Terry Jones. No, Terry Jones. We lost and in Perfect. If you go look at Twitter and John Cleese, his tweet was like, I find it so amazing that he said, I won't get it perfectly. He said, I find it so amazing that a person of such grandeur as Terry should pass so peacefully from this earth. You know, he's like, you know, it's like, I will miss my brother. 2 down, 4 to go. That's all. I was just kind of like, I mean, just like, I
appreciate that. Yeah.
But I was like, but I thought that was perfect too. And like, if you look into it, it was, he had dementia, like the last, like, and he was actually living, with, I think it was Eric Idle, if I remember correctly. Like the last year of his life or so, he lived with Eric Idle, and he was like taking care of him. Or one of the other pythons. They basically and yeah. So, but yes, definitely go watch Life of Brian. Everybody always talks about Holy Grail, and like that's the one that probably most people, like their dads, like said, hey, watch Holy Grail, and you're like, oh, this is hilarious, because you see the knight getting his arms chopped off and stuff like that. But you get a little older and you watch Life of Brian, and you're like, this is way better.
That's the stuff. All right, I'm hitting the red button.
Yep. Go. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Pete, have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, I keep waiting for Bridge Commander or whatever Star Trek thing to go on sale. It just doesn't.
It was on the lunar sale just last week. That's why I posted in the chat that there was a sale. It was like 25% off.
Not on Oculus.
No, on Steam. Don't forget, you can play Steam stuff too.
That's right. I did see that your whatever game, your D&D game, or whatever, is on Oculus now.
Yes, Chronicles of Carnage, awesome game. If you get that, I will happily play through it again with you because I've already beaten it. But they're coming out with another update this year that's going to add new classes and a whole new dungeon. So,
well, it's still in beta right now, isn't it?
Yes, it's alpha test. Yeah, so there's a lot of changes still happening. But that is one of my favorite games on VR. So if you get that, let me know. I'm down for playing.
Perfect.
As I always am, but you guys just never want to play.
Yeah, well, time, man. I never have any time. All right, everybody. Good night.